everybody. Welcome to Impossible Coin. This is week 2.5 to going 2 plus. Time is a flat circle. The week.
No, it is still week 2, part 2.
The revenge.
Yeah, the Revenge of the Sith.
Freddy's back, and this time he can possess people. Something. Tegan Somerset, what's up?
Nothing is up.
Nothing's up.
Nothing is up.
Like nothing's going on.
Not really. I'm almost done with my Christmas shopping. That's about it.
I could have sworn there's a big thing you got to do at like 3 o'clock.
Yeah, but that's today, and it's 5 o'clock.
Wait.
Time is relative, Tegan.
That's today. It'll already be over by the time everybody hears the show, but if you want to check out the VOD, you'll be able to see me sort of on My Name is Goda's channel playing a tabletop role-playing game called Escape from Kongabonga, which is totally a Mario-themed TTR. Will have done.
Okay. That's fantastic. Reminding Tegan of her schedule, Rocky Hardy.
Oh, yeah. Hey, that's me.
What's up, sir? What's going on?
Oh, I am playing Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker. I thought that I was like... I've had trouble playing it this week because the queues have been merciless. I don't think I've gotten a queue less than 5,000 the past 2 weeks.
Is that because kids are finally like getting on to vacation time?
I mean, I think it's part of that, but like also we got a lot of WoW refugees. Apparently the game's population doubled over the past expansion.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's been kind of nuts. Like, there was, at one point, like, I think it was on launch day, Square Enix did emergency maintenance to take half of their test servers and put them into production to assist with the queues.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's a lot of queue issues.
Yeah, it's been intense, but it's also been very, very good, but also I don't want to leave because I don't want to get back in line.
Like, wait a minute. So when you say that you're playing Final Fantasy XIV, you mean that you're saying that you're playing Final Fantasy XIV right now?
Yes.
Amazing.
All right, there's a face I'm making. You can't see it because this is an audio product.
Then you need to paint me a word picture, Brian. Otherwise, I just know you're making a face, which I assume you usually do.
Okay. Justin Timberlake's slow push-in GIF. There we go.
From that one SNL sketch? Yeah, for sure.
There we go. That is the GIF. I actually keep that GIF saved on my laptop, my work laptop, and my phone because I find that it is the most needed GIF in my life.
Are you sure it's not the one where the guy is standing in front of fire and like raises his arms? Because you use that one with us a lot.
You know,
you kind of do, yeah.
Yeah. Randy Orton burning down Bray Wyatt's house, is also saved on all of those devices. It is also a favorite GIF of mine. Both of them are, I guess not happy feelings either. That's a whole thing, Randy Orton burns down Bray Wyatt's house is like, look at this terrible mess. Look at how shitty everything is. I'm just going to stand here and do a meaningless gesture in front of the destruction. Whenever I hear about, like, the January 6th Select Committee, like, kind of doing something, but not really, I just think about that GIF, like, it's like, oh, okay, this, like, powerless committee, which is kind of doing things, but not really, has made another empty gesture. Meanwhile, like, Steve Bannon is peeing in the parking lot of America while giving you the middle finger,
Oh, shit, is he still alive?
Steve Bannon, currently not dead. I hate to disappoint.
Okay, last time I saw him, he was melting, so, like, I was figuring he didn't have that much time left.
Like, do you remember when everybody saw that picture of, like, Prince Philip in the back of a fucking car, and they're like, who is in possession of Prince Philip's final Horcrux?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, Steve Bannon has been in that condition for at least 5 years. Like I was pretty sure that, like, Steve Bannon's liver was, like, Prince Philip's final Horcrux. Like, but no, somehow he persisted. Like, Steve Bannon just won't die. he just will die. I don't know why. Like, it's all that fucking Seinfeld money.
Wait, why does Steve Bannon have Seinfeld money?
Oh, I'm glad you asked.
Hang on, stop. This is a podcast about video games.
No tickets.
This is not a podcast about Steve Bannon.
This is not a Steve Bannon podcast. And we actually have a lot of stuff to do today. We're supposed to be finishing off our Resonant Games discussion. And for people who don't know, Resonant Games is our place where we talk about the games that we connected with this year. Usually, we did like superlatives here, but now we just decided we're just going to talk about games until we feel complete and happy about it. And we started last week, and we got about a third of the way through, and it took us 3 hours, so we've made some adjustments, and now we're going to try to finish up today.
Yeah.
I want the record to reflect that I didn't have to make any adjustments because I understood the assignment and only picked 5 games.
Tegan, top 5 is next week. I'm sorry, but you misunderstood the assignment.
Yeah.
No, I completely understood the assignment because just like last year, my top 5 video games of this year includes no video games.
Tegan, there were video games in your top 5 last year.
Yeah, there were video games.
If somehow you are a regular listener of this show but missed last week, and I'm willing to bet that possibility exists. Just to bring up,
you might be playing catch up. It's okay.
What happened last week was Tegan showed up and said, "I don't like video games anymore, and I'm dead inside."
Yeah, basically.
She did not say that.
That's exactly what I said, just in more words.
Oh my God. There were some weird thoughts about death. Actually, I'm not going to say weird. There were some uncomfortably intimate thoughts about death that Tegan shared.
I'm thinking about it a lot. Don't worry, I'm fully embracing my old woman status now. I got an embroidery hoop, and I'm actually doing really well on it, so... I'm just 900 years old at this point. It's fine.
You got to get one of those, hoop and sticks from the olden times,
Oh, yeah, that's more of a summertime activity, though, Remember, yeah. I live in a place where it snows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Last week, there were 40 tornadoes. It was great.
4-0?
Yeah, 4-0.
That's kind of lit.
One of them went across 5 states. It's great.
Was that one of the ones that visited beautiful Rand Paul's Kentucky?
Yeah, sure did.
Yeah.
None of them made it into Ohio. Because nobody wants to come to Ohio. We want to leave. Maybe if I got out of Ohio, I would like video games again.
So more of this week, everybody. Holy shit.
Oh, man, that's pretty good.
Tune in next week for more of the same shit from me. Pushing Brian's buttons just to feel something again.
I hurt myself today.
Anyway, you want to talk about some video games? Tell me
Brian's...
about the things that spark joy in your life.
No. It's resonance. So, if it resonates with anger or despair or whatever, those still count.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fair.
It's true. In no way did Taxi Chaos spark joy.
Well, you know me. I only want to hear about the ones that spark joy. The world is ending. Tell me some good news.
It's not ending.
Okay. So I'm looking down this here list, and I see that, aside from the place where I jumped and I read the last one on my list, and made Rocky cuss at me.
You did. It was very good. 10 out of 10 experience. Would make Rocky cuss at you again.
I think the last one from my list before that we touched on was Tender Creature Comforts.
Yes.
Which...
You date the aliens.
Yes. And sometimes you run from them.
And sometimes you run from them.
Yes. Occasionally you tag that ass, but not usually.
Yeah, because you left off talking about the one person who, just led you on the entire time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she ate up
Right.
Yeah, 3 dates.
Yeah.
Rip.
But she's got to watch Downton Abbey with her mom.
That's right.
So Knights of San Francisco is a cool post-apocalyptic game where you are a dude who has journeyed to the ruins of the largest remaining city, which is San Francisco, hunting for your brother because you want to find him and kill him after you make him suffer.
I mean, that just sounds like a brotherly relationship. Am I wrong?
I have never once wanted to kill my brothers. Maybe maim them a little bit.
Not once?
Like toss them around? No, never murder.
Right.
Oh, I've definitely wanted to do a murder.
But, I mean, there is no apocalypse, in your life, Rocky. Like, maybe the missing sauce here is the apocalypse. So,
Well, I hope not. We're kind of due for one of those.
yeah, there's that. Watch out, Rocky's brother. Z.
There are 3 of them.
That's why there was a Z. It was a late added Z.
Z. Oh my god. All right.
All right.
Watch out, Rocky's brother. You know which one you are. That's more threatening.
You know what you did, and as soon as the food wars come, so shall Rocky. Like,
Okay, actually, no, but unironically, I think each of my brothers would have a significant stake in the food wars. Oh, Lord. That could be really messy.
have they bought into your ostrich farm?
Nah. I mean, I think one of my brothers may try to poach one of my ostriches and then just, like, try to pretend it never happened.
Well, but here's the thing. You're the brother that can cook. So,
About
you're
that,
fine.
we can all cook. And we have very different philosophies regarding cooking.
Oh, I want to see y'all fight in a kitchen now.
It's going to be something between, like, Food Wars and, like, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I think that's the vibe that we'd actually have.
You know what? I'm down with this.
Oh, God. Anyways, Brian, Nights in San Francisco.
So you want to kill your brother, right? And so you go to San Francisco. Yeah. And it's like a very like post-apocalyptic feel. So like lots of like green has really returned to the earth, that kind of thing.
Nature's healing. I feel
yeah. So like
oh, like Horizon.
Yeah, very much that like Horizon or Breath of the Wild, where like
Gotcha.
shit was deeply fucked up. And like the world.
But now there's a bird.
I don't know what you mean by now there's a bird.
Life is coming back. Like, actually, not just plant life, but also like life.
Yes. Okay.
flora and fauna.
Yeah.
Society's still hosed, but aminals. And so like you push your way into the city, and like the Primerica Tower hasn't fallen, and so it's like the largest structure in the world. But like people don't know it's the Primerica Tower because it's like hundreds of years after the apocalypse.
Amazing.
Yeah, and like they're like that is the that's the tower, and also like mythical creatures have emerged in this world. So now there's like ogres and demons and such, and like you get word that like maybe your brother has been like enslaved by ogres to work in a magical foundry in the upper levels of the tower.
Okay.
And so you're like, well, if I want to kill my brother, I'm going to have to like sneak my way up the tower.
If I want to kill my brother, I have to rescue him first.
Exactly. And so like,
and then you get to be like, I saved your life. Come here, you little shit.
right. And so you encounter like the like a disbanding order, which has previously protected the city, but the Knights of San Francisco. And they're now abandoning their holy cause to like defend the city. And so like you're like watching them like pack up as you're like leaving, like as they're leaving, you're going in. And so like the city is in chaos. And there's all these like little side quests like around the tower before you push up. And then like as you start pushing up in the tower, like depending on like the route of your ascent, there's like different little cool encounters that you can have. Like there's a portion of like the tower where like one side of the building got like blown out by like a floor or two, and so now there's like this like giant open section which like gets sun all day, and people have like created a garden in there. And so like there's this really really cool feeling, and you eventually do find your brother, which does like open up like all kinds of questions, because like exactly as you said, Tegan, like you have to rescue your brother before you can kill him. And like part of the whole game is like there was this rumor that like a actual fucking wizard with infinite power lives at the very top of the tower. And sure enough, like you do ultimately make your way to the top of the tower if you so choose. Like there's like so many different endings in this game, and on one playthrough I did choose to go all the way to the top of the tower. Actually, on more than one playthrough I chose to go all the way to the top of the tower and confront the wizard, and the wizard was like, I called your brother here and I had the ogres enslave him in order to draw you here because I want you here.
Witness my grand plan, or whatever.
Exactly, and the wizard is like, I am all powerful, I am all consuming, I am all evil. Serve me, and you can rule the world. Just know that you'll never be more powerful than me. And
then you kill them, right?
Is there an option where you're just like bet and then you kick his ass?
Yeah.
I did in fact bet. And like there's like lots of different ways that can go. Like on one playthrough, I did successfully kill the wizard. Actually, no, 2 playthroughs I successfully killed the wizard. And in one playthrough, I successfully killed the wizard, and I dispelled his evil energy from the world that will allow the world to heal faster.
Oh, cool.
Right.
That's fun.
Nice.
And then another playthrough, I killed the evil wizard, consumed his power, and then became an evil wizard myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then killed your brother.
And then killed my brother by flinging him off the tower with my mind.
That's amazing.
Yeah. In another playthrough, like I told my brother to like go up ahead of me. I was like, hey, go see what's up there. And the reason I did it was because I knew that there was something up there, and I was hoping that whatever it was would just kill him. And the wizard gave my brother power when he like made the speech to him, essentially, instead of me. And so then when I skulked up afterwards, my brother killed me and threw me off the tower.
Aww.
I also did just choose to serve the wizard. I was like, I will kneel before your power, so that way I can rule over all else except for you.
I mean, like, what's the alternative? He gets re-enslaved by the orcs and goes back to where he just was.
Right. There's also, like, it's really cool how this, like, game, like, fuses, common European mythological creatures and Egyptian mythology. Virtually all of the characters in the game are using like Kemetic systems of worship and are worshiping Egyptian gods.
Okay.
But in addition to like Egyptian gods, like there's all of this like this common like European mythic imagery stuff, like ogres and werewolves and shit. Like, so it has this like feeling, like it has a very unusual vibe. Like the selection of like traits at the beginning, because it's a role playing game where like you're like, okay, well, what are going to be my traits? And like you can pick one of 3. Like you have to pick a major flaw at the beginning of the game, and depending on what major flaw you pick, it like dramatically impacts like what exists within the possibility space going forward. Like you could pick to be entirely deaf, right? Um, but that
Ooh.
but that means that like the way you interact with the space is different than say if you pick being horribly disfigured in the face. Um, because if you're horribly disfigured, like less people around the tower and on your way up the tower will be willing to interact with you. Um, for most of my playthroughs, um, picked having a missing foot and a wooden stump instead. Which meant my overall movement speed and my ability to like run from like combat situations was like reduced.
Mm-hmm.
But it meant that like it was harder for things to like sneak up on me. Because I wouldn't have to like rely on visual cues to like detect things approaching me. It also meant that like I could unlock more like side quest and companion options. Because I wasn't disfigured. But like I really had a lot of fun with this game, and just because of the way I treated our banter section this year, I guess I didn't talk a lot about it. And like the game was like from a first time developer who had never made a video game before. It's just like a guy who works, I believe, in banking in San Francisco. He's just like, fuck it, I'm going to learn how to code and make me a video game. I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah. And then this happened. So, recommend.
For
Yeah.
sure.
I believe we've already talked about Fallums.
Yep.
Yeah. I know we have not talked about That Which Faith Demands thus far.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Rocky, did you ever get a chance to go pick this up? I know that when we talked about it during the course of the year, it was something that that you mentioned, like, oh, that sounds like something I should go pick up.
Oh yeah.
Okay. This is a very cool video game.
Mm-hmm.
It has a lot to say about like the military-industrial complex, the refugee experience, the way that people have to interact with their faith in a larger world, which needs more of them. The experience of like what it's like to deal with coworkers. Like, there's a lot of meat on the bone in this like very interesting, sad little game. In this game, you are a refugee who has had to take a job like disassembling these like this like large mech, and like stripping the mech for parts. And depending on like what origin story you select for your character, you may very well like invest like religious meaning to the mech's existence and think of like the mech as like either a sign from God or a representation of God. Like, you know, like you invest real meaning in the mech. And so there's a lot of like doing stuff like, say, stripping large like synthetic muscle from like the mech's arm, and then thinking about like, well, what does this represent? Like, what does this say about me that I'm like tearing down my god for parts? You know, like in order to like stay in this like safer part of the galaxy, like have I traded away my own very like existence and meaning in order to like do I even like exist if I'm doing this? Like, very like existential questions, handled well. Um, there's a lot of bad mech stuff out there. I think a lot of people are tempted to use mechs in the realm of science fiction fantasy when they're like, fuck it, I don't know. Like, what's the thing that everybody likes? Mechs. And then they don't really use them as like a mechanism to explore like grander ideas.
Sure.
You know, I think that's one of the reasons why I liked Evangelion so much is that the mechs were being used such great effect to like talk about like alienation and puberty. Like there's a lot of good stuff that mechs are used for, like in that storytelling. But a lot of times mechs are just fucking mechs. You know, sometimes a cigar is a cigar. But in That Which Faith Demands, like the cigar is in fact not just a cigar. Like we're talking about the idea of like what are weapons in relation to humans? What is faith in relation to humans? How do we like handle and understand our relationships in the workspace? I highly recommend it. It is also a downer. This game is a downer, so maybe don't consume it if you are currently in a down headspace.
Or if you need to get into, if you're trying to hit bottom, that with Faith Demands is also a good idea. Like, you know, if you're just trying to get to the bottom of the feelings and just dive right into it. It's not that long anyways.
Okay, fair enough. A game which is not That Which Faith Demands is Honey Pop 2 Double Date.
Is this one also a downer?
This is not a
This one's horny. This one's horny on main.
Yes. This I put this on my list of Resident games because I kind of wanted to talk about being disappointed by this game.
Okay.
Like this has been a very good year for match 3 puzzling games for me, right? Sure. Like the game which has landed as my game of the year is a match 3 puzzler. But I also feel like describing it as a match 3 puzzler doesn't encompass all that game is, you know? Like it feels reductive to say that Day Repeat Day is a match 3 puzzler, even though at its core, mechanically, that is what it is. When the original Honey Pop came out, like I absolutely loved it. Like absolutely loved it. There was like so much stuff that Honey Pop did right. And not just the match 3, it did like excellent match 3 stuff. It also managed to like strike this tone that was like clever and playful. There was a lot of stuff where the writing was like at times like insightful and sweet. Like the game managed to be horny on main while not feeling a lot of times horny games can feel like they're needless or mean, like depending on like where a horny game comes from, like
sure.
Depending on the root of its horniness, like there's things about it that could just feel like you're like, oh god, like finding things out.
Like that one game where like you went to hell or whatever.
Yeah. I also did not include sex with the devil on my list, but that's a good call out, Rocky. So like I was hoping that like Honey Pop 2 would like strike a lot of those same notes. And like I did enjoy stuff like the new added demands of like needing to satisfy 2 girls on like the same date. You're like, oh, okay, so it's like the whole gimmick of the game is like needing to like get girls into menage a trois in order to prevent the ancient powerful gods of menage a trois from destroying the universe. Like that's the whole gimmick of the game.
Sure.
Okay.
That like the stuff about like the way the individual characters is written is now like not particularly satisfying. Like there was a like, and I guess it's done like by comparison, is that in the first game there's two characters that you have an opportunity to date, and over the course of the entire game, if you bother to engage with like the like deeply written dialogue for these characters, you discover that they are mother and daughter, and they don't know that about each other because the two characters never interact with each other on screen. Like one of the characters is like a porn star, and she has all these like feelings of like absence and loss, and you find out that there was a child she gave up when she was like new in the industry, and like there's this character that you're interacting with who's like, I wish I had known my mom, and you're like, and the more and more you talk to them, you find out that the two stories fit together, and that one's the mother and one's the daughter, and you're like, and like, it's not just something which is like revealed as like a one-line goof or like treated as like a silly throwaway gag. Like, first Honey Pop is like, okay, let's actually like unpack this as a story. And like both of the characters from that story return in Honey Pop too. And like just like the change of tone now is like Jesse's like, hooray, yeah, I know I have a daughter, whatever. She's somewhere. I think she's here on the island. Maybe you can go like rub coconut oil into her titties. I'm like, what? What the hell? And like it just feels mean now. And I don't think anything like quite like captures what I mean by like it feels mean now. But like one of the characters in the game is a trans woman, right? Mm-hmm. And in the options for the game, like there you'll see the character's name, which is Violet. You'll see like Violet ? And then the option will read like, you get two check boxes that you can click in the options, and the options are any or outie. And I was like, any? I'm like, oh, fuck you, video game. Like that's oh. And I went and I read some comments by the dev about like, why does this option exist and why is this option labeled like that? And
was it just because we suck? And like, what was their actual answer?
The actual answers provided by the dev were like pretty transphobic. Like describing trans women who have not had bottom surgery as men and that kind of thing, and like saying stuff like, oh well, you know, there's some guys out there who don't want to like bang a guy, and it's just like, oh, all of these answers are like, all of this is bad, and it really disappointed, you know, and it disappointed in like large ways because the first one was a good game, a very good game, and just like, Honey Pop 2, like, this just ain't it. It's just not. Like, this now feels more mean, this feels more vicious, and it's just like, it feels like Honey Pop 1 through the prism of the 4chan crowd.
I don't know that Honey Pop 1 was that great, though.
I think it was surprisingly good given its, like, genre.
I am inclined to disagree, but okay, that's fair.
What experience do you have with Honey Pop 1?
Like, are you asking me how long I've played it, or?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get an idea as to like what your background is.
I have almost every achievement.
Okay.
In Honey Pop 1.
Okay.
So it is okay, but it's not. I don't think it's like, it ain't that deep, fam. frankly.
Well, I'm not saying it is deep. I was saying it was good. Like, there's a difference between
I
deep
don't
and
think
good.
it was even. I don't think it was even good. I think it was all right. Like, at best. I don't think the stories were, like, particularly interesting. I don't think there was that much nuance. Like, it was just okay.
Okay, Tegan. I am going to take this through the prism of you hate everything right now.
Okay, go ahead. Go for it.
Okay.
Also, remember, like, I'm not a person who's, like, particularly interested in sex, so that's, like, another thing that may be coloring my opinion of it.
Fair enough.
But, like, the characters were okay. Like, I don't know. It was just fine for me. I feel like I've played hentai games that were a lot better.
Did you,
well, yeah, sure.
in the year that we had Mirror in our top 10, did you play Mirror?
I don't remember what Mirror is.
Mirror is a hentai match 3 puzzler. And I don't know if either of you played Mirror that year.
I don't think I did.
Rocky, did you play Mirror?
No.
Okay. All right. Never mind. Moving on. The next game is not a hentai match 3 puzzler. It is it is a sad little game that you control with your eyes and then you don't control with your blinking. Before Your Eyes is a game which allows you to experience the entire lifetime of a character. And part of the gimmick of the game is that, like, on-screen cursor movement and the position of your head is controlled through eye tracking. So it's tracking where you're looking and stuff like that. But the major conceit of the game is that time jumps forward when you blink, because you're seeing this person's entire life. It's in the blink of an eye. And so, like, and like it doesn't do it on every blink. Obviously, there's some scenes where they need you to see more before time jumps forward, and so there is like some creator control behind the curtain there. But you definitely do reach a point where you, as a player, have become like really invested in this character's life, and you'll like reach a moment where you realize something like is happening, which like particularly resonates with the character because of what you know about them. You're like, oh, this is the time that they did the violin recital. Like, oh god, and then you're like, you find yourself like struggling to not blink to see more of like this moment in their life. And it was one of those. I'm always like a big fan of whenever narrative fuses well with gameplay. Because a lot of times they aren't necessarily effectively married. Like, you'll have interesting gameplay or interesting narrative, but like they don't necessarily complement each other. Like there's nothing about like the way that like say Assassin's Creed satisfies a player mechanically that has much to do with like the way the story works, right? Like
yeah.
But with this, like the narrative, which is about a character who has died and is now like in a boat with like an afterlife guide who essentially functions as an advocate before like eternal judgment. Who's like, well, before I take you before eternal judgment, I need to see your whole life. Here, like the mechanics complement the narrative and vice versa. And it was very, very satisfying. Very sad little game, but but a good sad. And I know that on this podcast we have previously like advocated for video games that are a good sad.
It's melancholy.
Yeah, it's the one we want. Yeah, so it's like if you're a person who dug either like Spiritfarer or Cozy Grove, if you like that melancholy, um, this is it got it for you like by the buttload. Um, and Rocky, would you like to talk about a video game?
Yeah, sure. I want to jump back to Post-Apocalyptica for a second because I realize now, I think at some point I took Shin Megami Tensei off of my list. And Shin Megami Tensei 5 is fucking slaps. I think it's really cool. I like, for people who don't know, Shin Megami Tensei is the Persona, but like edgier, apparently. That's how it's usually sold. And it takes a much harsher look at the world instead of you being like a bunch of teens who get to, go on wild adventures, but still have to go to school and like learn more about your neighborhood or whatever. The world is fucked instead. The demons are a real and salient threat, and just about everyone is afraid of them. In Shin Megami Tensei 5, you live in a facsimile of Tokyo that is over what appears to be the remainder of a destroyed Tokyo, which is the result of a fight between Yahweh and Lucifer 18 years ago. Suspiciously, that's when you were born. And you end up thrust into the real destroyed world at some point, surrounded by demons. And then there was a demon that offers you help if you trust them, and then they fuse with you. And now you're this new being called a Nahobino. And then, you have the ability to summon demons to fight on your own and whatnot. And you're roped initially into helping the remainder of like the divine creatures who are protecting humanity, led by Bethel. And you find over time that while you may have some measure of power, you can't affect everything. And like the world is difficult and dangerous. And I think it's designed to coax you as a player with your newfound power into wanting to change the world into a different shape. And it asks a lot of very interesting questions and introduces a lot of very nuanced conversations about like the nature of humanity and like how they interact with both the sacred and the profane. And then on a gameplay level, you have various like side quests that aren't designed to simply just let you go around on fetch quests, but really have you make decisions about how the world should be. And that's pretty cool. And then like it is pretty difficult because the press turn system can be something that's hard to like maneuver around if you can't wrap your head around it. But it's really rewarding when like you figure out how the game works and you can trash a boss because you get 8 turns every turn and they only get 2. And I'm having a great time with it. I recommend it to people who want to try to sharpen their teeth on something a little tougher than Persona. Yeah. Brian, have you picked this up yet? Or not picked this up, but started it?
I have not yet started it.
Okay.
Like I don't know, man. Like I still really do want to. It's just that between other stuff that I've just actually been enjoying a whole bunch and work kicking my ass here in Q4, I haven't had the time. And I figured where I eventually landed was that if I put down something that I was actively loving because of my limited time to pick up something that was like going to have like a very steep incline and be very demanding, that I might not be giving it my best and I might not get the best impression of it, which would be unfair to it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
The next thing I want to talk about is a little different. It's a game that's very dear to my heart. I've been looking forward to for a long time, it turns out. There's a sequel to a video game, The World Ends With You, that came out this year. Neo, The World Ends With You, also published by Square Enix. And the original game was a cult classic that came out on the DS of all places 10 years ago. And it really was something special. They had well-drawn characters, very interesting plot, and like very like engaging and like like I guess like rewarding mechanics. that they've been trying to like recapture ever since. But instead of getting the budget to make a new game, they usually had to, port it someplace or try to add like a little bit of story content. And, I personally like faithfully bought each one in the hopes that there would be a sequel someday. And now I got it. Neo: The World Ends With You. And it takes place a few years after the initial story. It has new characters, but it still has the same conceit. You are a teenager who has recently died and has been transported into something called the Reaper's Game, where if you win, you have a chance of coming back to life. And the first bit is figuring out what's going on, realizing that you're dead. And then there's very interesting, like, design choices, both, like, narratively and, like, mechanically in this that I really liked. For example, in the first game, or rather, even in the first story, it's very much you have to survive on your own. And then the protagonist has trouble finding the ability to trust the people around them, and then form some relationships, crucial relationships with trusted partners that allow them to see the value in the world and in collaboration. But now, in this game, which takes place years after the fact, the game itself is shaped differently. Apparently, there's a group of people who have solved it, essentially. They have won the game pretty much every time it runs. But instead of wishing to come back to life, leaving everyone else to their own devices, they have chosen to rerun the game every week. And it's as if winning the game isn't their solution, that they're looking for something else. And it's very cool. I don't want to get into it because it's actually such a brilliant, like, twist that I'm not going to really talk about here. But the way that they have tried to solve, like, this puzzle, the Reaper's Game, while subjecting everyone else that's still in it to essentially purgatory, is just a really different flip on how that whole situation could go. It asks a lot of really cool questions, and the characters are always delightful to listen to, and it's like 85% voice acted, which is a thing that is increasingly more important to me as I continue to play RPGs. And, you're still, like, messing around with all sorts of, like, neat psychic powers, but instead of in a top-down, like, two-screen fashion, you're just in a much more familiar, like, action combat arena. And fights are still fast. I think the longest fight I've ever been in was, like, 5 minutes long, and most fights end in under 20 seconds. I love Neo: The World Ends With You. I'm very upset at Square Enix for not marketing properly, especially since they decided that it was a failure. But I implore anyone that likes action RPGs, that likes interacting with characters who are just trying to do the best with what they have, fuck with it. It's great.
And I think, I want to remind myself of something. Like, you believe that this game does not necessarily primarily benefit from being on a touch interface, and that, like, controller is the best way to control this game series, right?
We're talking about Neo. I think controller is probably the best way to do it now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if, like, Neo supports, like, full touch controls in terms of combat. I haven't really tried it, but I'm happy with the way controller feels.
Cool. Okay. Did you know that anybody can be struck by lightning at any time?
I mean, I guess statistically that's true.
Isn't that how, like, traditionally God smites people?
Yeah.
I think that's how the story goes, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Anyone Can Be Struck by Lightning at Any Time is a video game by Terry Kavanagh. Earlier this year, Terry Kavanagh got onto this, like, tear where he was, like, fascinated by Roblox, where he's just like, what the hell is Roblox? Like, why, like, what's going on with it? And so, like, the guy who created like VVVVVVV and Super Hexagon and Dicey Dungeons was just like, I'm gonna make games in Roblox and see how that goes. And one of the games that he created was anyone can be struck by lightning at any time, which takes a bunch of players, drops them onto an island, gives them some trees which can be like hidden under or climbed or whatever, then like one particularly large tower and swimmable water around the edge of the island, but nothing that the players do impacts whether or not they will be struck by the lightning. Whether you have chosen to climb a tree or hide under a tree, you could be struck by lightning. Did you climb the giant tower in the middle of the island? Well, great. You could be struck by lightning. Did you stand beside the tower? You could be struck by lightning. Are you swimming around the island? You could be struck by lightning. And what the game does is after you survive a lightning strike, it puts up a counter and says how many lightning strikes you have survived. And it shows you how many lightning strikes everybody else in game right now has survived. And Kavanaugh was interested in it from like a gameplay perspective, from the like, okay, will people treat this as a competitive experience? Like, if this gets put up on Roblox, will kids on Roblox get into it and become convinced that there is strategy? And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. Game went up on Roblox, and I remember like logging into like this game like quite a bit and seeing like kids like arguing in like the open chat for like each game session, being like, "You've got to get in the water. That's where it's safest. You have to do backstrokes. It can't get you if you're doing backstrokes. Climb the tree and then climb the tree, then get down the tree. You have to go up it first and then get off of it." And so like inventing these like old wives' tales, these like folklore strategies, which like I know because I followed the dev and like I read the devs like logs about making this game, but I know that none of this stuff is true. But like how absolutely convinced these like kids playing Roblox are of everything. And like, so I would just like log in and I would like stand in the middle of the island and not even move. And like, people are like, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. The lightning's going to get you, you know? Or like if one of them would get like zapped in the water while they were doing a backstroke, it's like, I must have stopped doing the backstroke. Like they're just absolutely convinced that there's something they can do that is like, going to impact their ability to be struck by lightning, and that it is possible to play this game and not be struck by lightning, even though the title of the game is anyone can be struck by lightning at any time. And so I just thought it was wild, like there's this game which is about like the idea of like ultimate survivability on every timeline is 0, like everyone dies, and like the idea of people like creating these like strategies to evade ultimate consequences, which don't work. You know, it kind of reminds me of like that thing that Willard Scott would do whenever he was talking about like the 100-year-old people while doing the weather. Mm-hmm. You know, and it'd be like, and he would talk about Mabel Lee Sourpuss, and he'd be like, well, what's Mabel Lee Sourpuss's secret? And like inevitably it's like she has 3 cigarettes a day and eats a piece of raspberry jam, and it's just like, it's like none of that stuff actually has impacted Mabel Lee Sourpuss's like longevity. Like the fact that she has 3 cigarettes a day and eats raspberry jam is not the reason that she lived to 100. You know, like Mabel Lee Sourpuss like lived to 100 because she's just statistical aberration. And so like the people playing this game interpreting statistical aberration as meaning like, oh, I must have done something. Like I have not been struck by lightning because of something that I have done. My favorite thing that
I mean, is that not the same way that, like, baseball fans interact with stuff? Like, oh, my favorite team didn't win because I wasn't wearing my special lucky jersey and eating the one person's pecan dip or whatever.
Yep, that is
Right.
yes, and like I love that shit too. Just totally wild. My favorite manifestation I saw of this was when I logged in and I saw every player on the server was running in a herd. They were running in a synchronized herd. They had created themselves like at the time that I logged in, a 5x5 grid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I logged in. They're like, no, leave. Go try and find another server. Go try and find another server. And I was like, why? And they're like, if we run in a perfect grid, the lightning can't get us. And then I saw lightning strike, and I'm like, well, that just happened. They're like, well, you're here, and he was out of sync. And I'm like, oh, like people just invent reasons to make the thing that they believe stay true. He was out of sync, man. So that is why I like this. I hope all that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that like Terry Cavanaugh did in Roblox this year was a game called Climb the Giant Man. There is a genre of game which is like very popular within Roblox called obbies, which are obstacle courses. And so what Terry Cavanaugh did was to make an obby which was based on his own Roblox avatar. He took his Roblox avatar, scaled it up so it was like impossibly large, and then said, get to the top of me somehow. And it follows like a lot of like traditional rules of Roblox obbies. Also has like some like sections of the obby which are entirely other gameplay genres. Like there's a point where you come to something which is like essentially like a Mario Kart style racetrack, where you're driving up a steep incline. So there's like a pretty large variety of like platforming experiences and puzzling experiences and driving experiences. At one point, you're even hang gliding. Like there's a shit ton going here, and there's even like divergent hidden paths along your ascent. Like there's a hidden disco. Like you can find a disco about 2/3 of the way up. And there's a checkpoint in the disco, so you can like celebrate having gotten this far. And once you get to the top of Terry Cavanaugh's head, there's a hot tub for your avatar to relax in, to celebrate your victory. And the whole game is arranged like you're taking a museum tour of Terry Cavanaugh's avatar. And so like periodically you'll encounter these like button activated voice box which will like have very dry official sounding descriptions of what you're about to encounter, as read by Terry Cavanaugh. Like, hello, you have reached the exploding color coded obstacle course section, like that kind of thing. And like it's very satisfying to get to the top and be like, hello, you have reached the top of the giant man. Feel free to relax in the hot tub before jumping down the pipe. And when you jump down the pipe, it deposits you in a gift shop. You in fact exit through the gift shop where you can get a piece of wearable gear for your avatar and a badge to put on your Roblox profile that says that you successfully climbed the giant man, to like mark your accomplishment. And then when you walk out the door of the gift shop, which is a one-way door, it puts you back at the beginning of the course, to kind of say to the player, like, well, do you want to go again? Do you want do the ascent again. Um, and like if you are good at what you are doing and you have the course memorized, you can complete the ascent in about a half hour. But like but there's parts of the ascent where like if you have no idea what's coming, like it will just knock you on your ass for like hours at a time, or there's parts which require like incredibly precision platforming. So it was one of those things which is like I enjoy like the scale of time that it took, because like it took me about 8 hours to make my initial ascent. But then my second ascent was less than an hour, and I loved that about it, because like it's fun to be able to like revisit something in that way. Like a lot of times when you play a game, like revisiting it is going to by definition require like a similar type of time commitment as the initial playthrough, you know, just because of like speed bumps, which are part of the design, you know, which are very popular as part of like mainstream AAA video game design now.
Sure.
But this had like knowing what you're doing and knowing where you're going really removes the friction from this. So that way that you can now like effectively stroll down memory lane, even if the memory was just made a few hours ago. And it's fun to be on your second or third ascent of the giant man while wearing your giant man item that you got in the gift shop, and you can see people who don't yet have their avatar item see you and will call out to you in the chat, go like, "Oh, you've already been to the top of the giant man. Is it cool up there? Is it cool?" Because so many of the players of Roblox are little kids. Their main thing is that they're like, "Is it cool up there?" They're like, "Yeah, it's cool. You can do it." Like there's a big whiteboard you can draw.
I believe in
exactly.
you.
Like there's a color pad where you can splash in color. There's a whiteboard. There's a hot tub. There's music playing. You can dance, and then a big slide that goes all the way to the bottom. Like, wow, that sounds fun. You know, and it's like I love it. I love it. I like that it was like a primarily single player driven experience, but like it's kind of like passively multiplayer in that like you're making your ascent and you'll be like seeing other people, you know, working on it. Like maybe you come to a particular section, like and you're standing beside a checkpoint and you're like, oh, what's going on here? Sometimes I would like pause and watch like another character just come like racing up behind me, and they just like bulldoze on through, and then I would see like what kills them, and I go like, oh, okay, that is what this section is going. Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. And I would see what this section is going to do, and I'm like, all right, now I know what to like look for here. And so like that was another way it like taught me about like the Roblox multiplayer experience, because like when you're in Roblox, like it's very easy to just get dumped at the starting line of an obby game with a whole bunch of other people and just like run as fast as possible. I'll be like, hey, I'm going to get to the end of the obstacle course first. But you find out very quickly that strategy will kill you a lot. Yeah. That like being a little bit more patient, being a little more thoughtful will probably get you to the top fastest. Yeah. So like, I very much enjoyed it. The reason he made this one was that he remarked that like the obby genre is a thing which is like incredibly pervasive within Roblox and very popular within Roblox, but he hasn't seen a lot of like the obby style game outside of Roblox. Like a lot of what happens in Roblox is people taking like existing genres of games and bringing them within Roblox. For example, like monster battling and monster raising, you know, like are things that existed before Roblox. And sure, there are platforming games within Roblox, but like the obby game seems to have like different rules than like traditional platforming games. So it's like he's like, I want to make a Roblox game within a Roblox platform. Like obbies don't really exist anywhere else. And so it was neat to see like a game developer whose work I so respect taking on like this very popular Roblox genre.
For sure.
Yeah. This brings us to Overboard, which is the inverse whodunit. Overboard is a I done it.
You done.
That's right. You done it. Like the game opens and you have just murdered your husband. You are on a transatlantic steamship and you have killed your husband, and now it is the morning after, and you are due to pull into New York that afternoon. And so, like, your goal is to pin the murder on somebody else by the time that the ship pulls into harbor. And like it's very much like bound by time. Certain people are always going to be in certain places at certain times, and so like it becomes this like race to be like, okay, like, well, I know that Carstairs plays cards with the major in the gentleman's lounge at around 1 p.m. So if I go there at 1 p.m., I can encounter both of them. I'm like, oh, I know that like the Duchess is going to take her morning stroll on the deck at like 9:15, and so if I'm up there, and so like it's really, really wild. Like uncovering like all the little stories on the boat, and then like even like finding out things about your own character, which are like revealed in dialogue with other characters, depending on like what choices you make. Like discovering that like you were having an affair with like the first officer of the ship, but that he also is very much like self-interested and won't really commit to like helping you out of an interest in his own self-preservation. Like he knows full and damn well that you killed your husband. He's just like, yeah, he's like, if you can hang it on somebody, like I'll go for it, but I'm not going to help you. One of my favorite things about Overboard is the way it represents God.
Okay.
Like one of the locations in the game is the chapel, and you can go to the chapel and you can choose to pray, at which point God is a sassy crucifix. God is a sassy fourth wall breaking crucifix. Which like metatextually understands that it exists within a video game. Also understands how many times you've played the video game, and like what types of success you've encountered on previous run-throughs. But isn't necessarily always terribly helpful either. Like you might pray to the crucifix, pray to the like sassy crucifix, and be like, "Hey there. So, guessing you're trying to get the kill everybody achievement this time, huh? Well, tough luck, that kind of thing."
Mm-hmm.
Is there a kill everyone achievement?
There is, in fact, a kill everyone achievement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yes. And I can tell you what, like, I kept on killing everybody except for the major. Killing the major is very difficult.
And it's just like, oh, you're still trying to get at it, huh?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I can tell that that's what you're doing because you've now had like multiple runs where you've like killed everybody except for one or two people, and it's just like, oh, tough luck. And like so many games from Inkle, it has like an irreverent sense of humor. There is a recurring motif of like jokes about dolphins. In fact,
God, fuck dolphins.
Yeah,
holy shit.
There is in fact an opportunity to like bludgeon someone to death with a statue of a dolphin. In fact, one of the ways you can kill somebody in the game is like to say to them like, "Hey, look, a dolphin," and so they'll like step closer to the rail of the ship, and you can then push them over while they're looking for the dolphin.
Oh my god.
That's great,
Yes.
honestly.
So like recurring dolphin jokes, big win. The first time I successfully dodged being accused of my husband's murder. Like like I was like, I won, but then we made port, and it's like, all right, I won, but I wasn't able to get his life insurance to pay out.
Oh.
Right. And so then I discovered like there's this whole other layer to like success of the game. It's like, all right, you didn't go to jail, but you also didn't get the money. And so then I got the money. But part of the way that I got the money required incriminating the first officer of the ship. And so then the game was like, all right, you got the money and you're off, but like if you wanted to make time with the first officer, you can't. And so like the first time I accomplished a run where I got off, got the money, and continued to like fuck the first officer once we made port, you know, like, it felt good. I was like, all right, I got my hat trick of evil achievements. Like, you know, didn't get accused of murder, got all the money, and I get to continue, like, my affair with the first officer. Fantastic. Good stuff, good stuff. Really like it. This is available for Switch. So, like, if you haven't tried this, a strong recommend. Has a really distinct visual look. Has a really, really beautiful look to it. I think very intentionally, I think that the main character's appearance is like very evocative of Carmen Sandiego, which
yeah, that's not an accident.
Yeah, like that. I definitely think that's not an accident, and I think it's like Carmen Sandiego always like felt like very playful villainy, and so this kind of feels like if you were to make like a Carmen Sandiego game about like this world traveling villain lady, but you were to like target it to people who got to play Carmen Sandiego games when they were kids, what would it now look like? And it feels like Overboard is that.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Who wants more melancholy?
I mean, you do.
Yeah,
That's
sure,
why you
sure.
played so many melancholy games this year.
Chicory, A Colorful Tale, is about a game about learning to trust yourself, learning to deal with imposter syndrome, learning to realize what are the toxic voices in your life, and learning what it means to truly support your friends, and not just emulate what you believe is supporting friends.
See, that just sounds like anime. Like, I'm not... Where's the melancholy, Brian?
Your character, Pizza, is... I'm sorry, Sushi is the canonical name. Your character, Sushi, is very much bummed out a lot in this game.
Okay.
So, like, you start the game as, like, a janitor, and you are cleaning the home of the person who is charged with controlling, like the magic paintbrush. And you think that you do something which robs the world of color. You blame yourself.
Ooh.
You're like, I did this, I made all this mess. And then the person with the magic paintbrush who's in charge of coloring the world, Chicory, it's just like, I'm sad, I'm bummed out, I can't bring myself to recolor the world. And so, like, now you are taking it on yourself to go out and try and make things better because you're like, I did this. This is my fault. I have to go make things better for Chicory. And so, like, over the course of the game, you find out, like, no, this is not your fault. You didn't do it. And, like, when you initially find out that it's not your fault, you're unwilling to believe. You're like, no. Like, even though I'm faced with facts that say that this isn't my fault, I'm going to continue to believe that this is my fault. And I think that's a relatable vibe.
For sure.
And, like, over the course of the game, you find out that, like what Chicory needs from you isn't necessarily, like, you running around and, like, painting things on their behalf, but they just need, like, someone there to listen and someone there to care. Like, And then add into all of that like what this is a very, very strong top-down Zelda-like. Like if you are a fan of traditional 2D Zelda games, then Chicory will resonate. Like the way it powers a lot of its dungeons and the way it powers a lot of its like puzzling experience is like, okay, what is and is not painted right now? What is colored? What color is it? But then like very much like a dungeoning experience within that. The only real significant combat that you encounter in the game are like the boss encounters. Like when you start to encounter this like devouring darkness, which is making everything devoid of color. There are boss sequences, but like within the dungeons themselves, there's only like very, very light combat, and most of the puzzling will be like, okay, well, what's activated here? What do I need to cross that bridge? Oh, I need to make the mushrooms grow. How do I make the mushrooms grow? Okay, I turned those lights on, and then I paint the mushrooms, that kind of thing. So, like, if you want a cozy, melancholy Zelda, which allows you to express yourself creatively, strong recommend for Chicory. I loved this game. I really did.
Express yourself creatively?
You are controlling the paintbrush. So, like, there's a lot of spaces in the game where you are tasked with, like, painting objects, where you're like, okay, you get to color objects. And it's like, as you progress through the game, you get more colors for your paintbrush.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I also played another video game about hitchhiking this year.
Mm-hmm.
Which was Road 96. And I think that the first thing I want to call out about this game is that when I heard about this prior to release, I heard something about it that made me very, very cautious, which was narrative-driven procedural generation.
Yeah, that could get messy.
Yeah. And I was like, oh no. Oh no, this... Oh no. I had visions of being like, oh, hello, I am riding in a car with James. I am running from home because of my problems with James. Oh, you have another passenger named James. Let's stop for a cup of James. You know, like you know what I'm talking about, right? Like, yeah.
I have once stopped for a cup of James. It was mediocre.
Right. You know, that kind of dog shit where like narrative procedural generation reaches for the stars but instead lands on its butthole. Like it just, and I was like, all right. But like everything I saw about the game prior to release just looked so promising. It looked more like Life is Strange or a Telltale game, and I was like, man, this looks good. But you know, like I guess I'll temper my expectations with all of this talk of procedural generation and hope for the best. And I'm really glad I hope for the best because they really fucking stuck the landing. And this is a huge like. There is a thing. Are definitely large companies that could benefit from learning from this little game. One of the things that was an endless irritant in both Skyrim and Fallout 4 were the notion of the Radiant Quest, which is the language they use to describe the procedurally generated quest. Or they'll be like, you encounter a farmer who wants you to get his sword back. And that would be like the level of depth that you would get to it. Like, hello, farmer who wants sword from that cave.
Okay, sure, but can you talk a bit about the level of depth that you experienced in Road 96?
Okay, so like fully developed characters with like fully nuanced backstories who were making the journey north to the border for their own reasons, and hopping online and discovering that like other characters have like not encountered these characters at all. Like they may have encountered like similar situations. Like, oh, okay, I sat under the stars playing the French horn with a runaway, but like the reason that runaway was running was entirely different, and or maybe they sat under the stars with a runaway playing a banjo and not a runaway, like and not a French horn. Like they, like the way that they composite together the possible different the different possible like ingredients for this soup feels very unique. It creates an experience which feels like wholly your own. Like I reached a motor home, or like a trailer park in the game, where like I discovered that what was going on at the trailer park was where the resistance to the government was broadcasting their secret radio station. And in the game, the resistance will always have a secret radio station. Whether or not you encounter the resistance's secret radio station on your journey at all is going to be based upon like choices you make, or whether or not you're even exposed to choices that allow you to encounter it. But will not always be in some trailer park. Like the Resistance's radio station could be any number of places, and it could be at any point along your journey. Like, sometimes it's at the very first possible stop that you're at. Sometimes it might be like immediately next to the northern border. Again, like lots of times you won't even see it. There was also like this entire like concurrent B plot through my run through about like these people who were like wanting to kill a television star because she was a propagandist for the government.
The really specific choice to kill a television star.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And like there were ways to engage with that B plot. Like I encountered the people who wanted to kill the television star. Okay. And it's like the fact that I stopped them meant that the propagandists lived, which impacted like things like above my immediate ability to like touch them in the next like several stops along the journey. Because if the propagandist was dead, then that would have caused more people to be willing to rise up against the government. Like, so like those kind of like things where you're like, okay, and like what choices would be available in this space if people were moving toward revolution versus what choices would be available in this space if people are still consuming the propaganda, which like
has like real like global.
Yeah, so like the scale of consequence was something that like felt very powerful in the game. Like it felt cool to like have small decisions that mattered. It felt cool to have big decisions that mattered. It also felt cool to like have big decisions that felt like they were meaningless. And what I mean by that is that like part of the whole drive of this game is this idea that there's this like terrible, powerful fascist regime running this country, and there's like no one and done decision which like overthrows the regime. Like you can't just press B to overthrow fascism at any point.
Well, yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah, and so like it felt real to encounter decisions where I was like, oh well, this will overthrow the fucking government. Like this will win. And then, like, no, I'm sorry, that does not win. It's not win for a variety of reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Also really like the aesthetic of the game. It definitely hits that, like, Life is Strange sweet spot. Like, there is a way of, like, representing characters in this kind of game which I think feels nice. And
Okay.
like I definitely feel like they were hitting it, which is a similar look that was adopted by Hitchhiker earlier on this list.
Hmm.
Which is wild to like have like play two hitchhiking games in the same year with like similar aesthetics, but like I think it makes sense because there's a kind of like a level of cartooniness to character models, which allows for like the characters to be more emotionally accessible, but to also ensures that the characters themselves won't wander into the uncanny valley. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, Road Road 96, thumbs up. Um, shall I talk more about games, or do you want to take some, Rocky?
You can take one more.
Okay, so now let me talk about a disappointing video game. Fire Tonight. Fire Tonight was a game that I recall at E3 um, landing, and I think it was at more than one presentation, where I was like, this looks so promising.
Yeah, I think we all thought that. We were
Yeah, they
all
got
hyped.
us. We
They got
confused
us
it with
good.
that fucking firefighter girl game. Still want that shit.
Right. And so, like, Fire Tonight, like, promised this, like, um, this game where it's like, all right, like, there's going to be puzzling. You're trying to, like, navigate through, like, a city on fire in order to get to your boyfriend, and there's going to be stuff that you're doing as the boyfriend, too, so you're going to be jumping back and forth between their stories. And as the game unfolds, you find out more about their relationship, and it all sounded very, very nice. And then I got to the game where, like, the navigating the city to escape the fire, where these like very static, immobile, like maze puzzles, which were all like incredibly rotely simple, and were generally like the size of a single screen. So it'd just be like, sit here, stare at the screen for 20 seconds, figure out the route through the maze, take it, done, take it, done. And I found myself like burning through this game at like an incredibly fast pace. And then at one point, it was like, okay, and now it's going to be like, we're going to change to a roller skating game where you're dodging cars for about a minute total. And it's like, why did you bother to create this entire other game mechanic that you're literally only going to use for a minute total? Um, all of the stuff that you do as the boyfriend is dumb. Like you're just like sitting in like again a one screen puzzle room, just trying to figure out the order that the game wants you to press the objects in the room, and then you're done with whatever the boyfriend sequence is. Nothing that the game offers includes any kind of like richer narrative or more emotionally instructive information about the history of their relationship. Like you don't really learn anything about them as a couple by playing the game. You're just like, all right, I guess they've been dating a while. Okay. Um, and then the game just abruptly ends. And like in my first playthrough of the game, in fact, my only playthrough of the game, in my playthrough of the game, I finished the game in about 40 minutes. That's it. That is it. And like I am the loudest advocate on this show of short games. Like you will find me singing the praises of short games over and over again. In fact, there's another game that we have discussed in the course of our Resident Games discussion, which can also be wrapped up in less time than this, which is Fallums, which can like you can knock out in about a half hour, like as long as you don't drop the ball at all. But that half hour that you might potentially spend with Fallums feels very satisfying and rich from start to finish. Like it Fallums is like, okay, we've got an idea and it's about this big and you're going to come along for a ride, and then you do. And Fire Tonight feels like, hey, we had some ideas. There's a video game that we want to make. We weren't able to secure funding. So instead, what we're going to do is release our proof of concept that we took to potential funding groups as the game. Like,
Hate to see it.
yeah, it really feels like they wanted to make a larger game. nobody wanted to give them the money for it, and so that they just put out the thing that they used as a pitch document. It feels woefully incomplete from start to finish. It feels so incomplete as to like either they didn't know what the fuck they were doing or releasing it feels predatory. I choose to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they didn't know what the fuck they're doing, and so they released an incomplete mess. I am not going to assume the worst of their motivations.
If it happens again, though, then we're on to you.
I mean, I've already forgotten the stuff's names. Like, oh my god. I'm probably never going to think about them again. Fire Tonight? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, honestly, disappointment all around.
I want to talk about some incomplete games. But they're not bad. They haven't charged me money for them. At least the ones that are on this list. Yeah. Okay. But
by incomplete, do you actually mean demos?
Well, somewhat, yeah. But like some of them are less in demo and more like in beta. Like they're being like continuously updated.
Okay.
I'm gonna add 2 to this actually. But the first one I'm gonna talk about is Koromon. Because during and honestly after the whole like the Great Wars of the Pokemon Sword and Shield, there have been a lot of people who feel like they are not being serviced by the Pokemon Company in terms of what they want as players or who are familiar with their genre of monster battling game. And so what I wanted to do, personally, I wanted to spend some time this year to mess around with some of the alternatives to see what people 25 years into monster battling as a genre have to offer in the gameplay experience. And one of the ones that I touched this year was Koromon, which was brought to my attention during this E3. It was I don't remember whose show it was on actually, but they had a demo available on Steam, and I decided to sit down and mess around with it. Koromon is still a monster battling game, so it looks and feels very much like Pokemon. In terms of like visual design, it looks a lot like Pokemon, like Fire Red and Leaf Green. But they changed a couple of things. First of all, you're not a kid protagonist; you're actually an adult getting ready to go out on a job as like essentially like a field ranger with Koromon. And you get your first one, and you start exploring like the area and whatnot. And there seems to be a Team Rocket-esque organization, but they're much more interested, instead of stealing people's Koromon, gaining the powers of these like legendary Koromon, and they have the ability to just like mind control people, apparently, and they do that in front of you. The mechanics themselves seem very wary of like the systems of like individual values and like effort values, and they surface them early and often. They want you to consider them as a tool as you're developing your team, which I think is good. There's also a shiny system that confers like actual like real benefits to your development of your Koromon, which I thought is interesting, and I feel like it's something that like the Pokemon Company shied away from for a very long time. I do like how like the stages, instead of like you traveling to like gyms and like proving yourself and collecting little badges, instead it's much more like dungeon crawling that like ends in like sort of like a Mega Man style boss, where you have to where you fight like a big powerful Koromon that represents the source of a particular element, but they are fully like sentient creatures, and what you're actually wandering to is their lair, not just like their habitat.
Right.
I think there's a lot of really cool ideas that are going on in Koromon so far.
Can you capture the sentient Koromon?
No, you don't. You can only fight them to like a draw. They're impossible to capture. They talk to you after the battle, and then they leave.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because if they establish that these things were like, hello, I have fully developed self-awareness, and you're great, and you're like, great, I shall enslave you. Like, that would have been a bad look.
it's pretty
I mean, I
intense.
feel like there's opportunity for some of them to choose to come along and help you, but they will not be like your pet,
Right.
no matter what.
Mm-hmm. Much more like, I guess, like Lucario, as whenever like Ash interacts with them or whatnot, as opposed to like, you know, the other ones. But yeah, Coromon seems like a very viable Pokemon alternative, and like they chose a niche. They chose a couple things to tweak off of like the base system, and they made real choices in terms of narrative and design that are interesting to me. And I haven't gotten through some of the other like additional content, because beyond the demo, because it's still live on Steam if you want to download it right now, and they've been updating it since the summer with like new areas and new challenges and stuff, and like it's functionally a beta at this point. And so like if you wanted to mess around with it, I suggest that you do, because it's a pretty cool thing. Another
if you have concerns though, Rocky also did play it on stream, and the VODs are up.
Yeah, I think I spent about 3 hours on it on Twitch, and so like it's on our Twitch, twitch.tv/impossible coin. If I can talk Tegan into video editing, they will be on our YouTube someday, but you know, we'll see how that goes. Another Pokemon like that I haven't talked a lot about, I think, but I spent a lot of time with is Temtem. And Temtem is one of those games that was pitched as like some teenager's fever dream, right? Which is the Pokemon-like MMO. And so in this game, you still are like the child or whatever. You're a kid protagonist. You meet a professor who gives you your first Temtem and like sets you off on a journey to like explore and like capture and learn and blah, blah, blah. And the game plays with like the movement tools that like Pokemon is famous for that are still like gated. And instead of like tying them to individual like Temtems or, you know, the monsters, they basically give you the player character, various tools to traverse the environment. Like one of the first things you get is a surfboard that allows you to like navigate the various islands of the archipelago that you're from. And at first, like you walk through somewhat painstakingly through the stages, through the area to like get to like the end, and near the middle they give you a surfboard, and not only are you able to traverse the areas that you've already explored faster, but you have new places that you have access to. Later on, you get like a mountain climbing kit, which suddenly puts into context all sorts of like flat walls that you weren't able to interact with. You also, in a weird twist, you get a coating on your surfboard that allows you to surf over acid. And then that allows you to, you know, traverse other areas. And then you get the ability to fly. And there is also a Team Rocket-esque group here called the Bel Soto. But, you know, instead of being interested in simply capturing people's other creatures, they are much more focused on not only aggressively recruiting random people, but also proliferating a rebellion. And, like, the third act of, like, the demo where I was, which was around level 50, level 70, was to challenge them where they've established a foothold and they took over a couple of cities. And that was kind of weird. Like, I just like suddenly became a child soldier. And I guess like before you were a child soldier in practice, but like this is like a real war. That was kind of nuts. Also, your character, both in this and a little bit in Coromon, has like the ability to like talk to people. You're not just a silent protagonist. Which I think is interesting, because I think the ability to have dialogue with characters is cool, and the writing in Temtem is actually pretty funny. I do like, because of their consideration of being an MMO, is that they have always considered what they thought was the end game. And while Pokemon itself has like its own defined end game in the terms of like PvP battles and like bespoke creature creation, in addition to that, like they have like, you know, a secondary gym battle system and like weekly challenges where like there are certain like gym leaders that are just more powerful. They were holding back because it wasn't fair to bully you with their real team. which is a good bridge into competitive battling, which is something that's new. Because, like, I mean, they're starting to do it now with, like, the Shining Pearl, Brilliant Diamond games, where, like, the end game fights are actually against EV-trained Pokemon with competitive, like, tool sets. But that's just, like, a weekly challenge in Temtem. Also, there's a thing that I found pretty interesting, because while you do want to, like, repeatedly catch the same creatures, if not only to find something that has very beneficial individual values, if not like try to farm for a shiny. There is a organization within Temtem called Free Tem, which will pay you to release Temtems that you've like captured, which is, I guess, its own sort of hostage situation, but it's also a steady way of accumulating the game's currency in late game to use to like simplify customizing your various Temtem, if not buying what appears to be the prohibitively expensive cosmetic gear. And so Temtem seems cool. It seems like a really fleshed out experience. It's not quite done yet. Like the story is still continuing, and I have like a level 80 Temtem team right now. And I haven't dug too much into competitive, but from the things that I saw in competitive, I really liked committing to like the VGC format where you fight 2v2. I like the usage of a stamina system that your Temtem has, as opposed to like using the power points where you can just spam the same move. And I like the ramp up of specific abilities where the amount of turns that your Temtem is in battle allows them to warm up and use more powerful abilities, because it leads to more strategic choices. So those are things that I've really enjoyed out of Temtem, and there are a couple other monster battlers that I've looked into, but I don't think they're worth talking about right now. Sorry for them. But it's good to know that there are alternatives in the monster battling space that are worth people's time, as opposed to, you know, cheap cash grabs that are just trying to pull audiences away, or like underbaked ideas that would be great under a bit more scrutiny. Another demo that I did, another game that's being developed that I messed around with this year was Terra Nil, which looks a lot like, it reminds me a lot of like Civilization in its like appearance, that it has like this top down, it's not hexes, but like, you have like this like hand drawn, hand painted like space where you're messing around with stuff. But in Terra Nil, you are on a barren planet and your job is to terraform it. And it's not as simple as, say, like, put the right thing down, grow the plants, bing, bang, we're done. It's very focused on, like, manipulating different, like, biomes. Like, you want to grow, like, foliage, but if you want to create, like, a marsh, you have to flood it with water. Or if you create foliage, but you need, like, certain trees to bloom, you actually need volcanic ash. So you actually need to create, like, controlled burns of, like, the flora there to like facilitate the type of plants that you actually want to grow. And some of that stuff is really, really interesting. I like how those systems interacted. I didn't get to spend so much time with it because there wasn't a lot to do in the demo when it started out. I think I did it in about 40 minutes when I got through it the first time. But it's a very pretty, very relaxing game that has like its own like interesting cycles of like life and like interaction that like I think is something that I'd like to see more out of like developed games. I'd like to see games that play with these kind of cycles of life in a way that you can interact with them. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me. And another game that I messed around with was Kraken Academy, which is in full release, that I didn't ultimately pick up, but mostly because I had a lot of stuff that I was already working through. But Kraken Academy seems like a very fun, very self-aware school simulator where you go to this school that's like run by monsters, but also you are implored by the principal of the school, who is a Kraken, to save the school from some calamity that's going to happen in 3 days. But it's cool if you're worried about the time constraint, because if you mess up, he'll just bring you back to 3 days in the past and you just run it back. So it's like school simulator, Majora's Mask, and there's like a whole like weird in-school like social media platform that you interact with. So like whenever you meet a character, your character bio for them is actually just like their school social media page, which is kind of fun. It's interesting. I want to spend more time with it. I'll probably look back on it like retroactively next year, but I definitely am remiss that I didn't get to make time for this year. And last demo before I pass the mic back to Brian is Flowstone Saga, which is a game that I feel like I only care about, which is weird. But Flowstone Saga is a role-playing game where they've replaced the major combat and exploration mechanics with Tetris. And so every time you're in a random battle against monsters, or it's not a random battle, they're actually overworld monsters, which is nice. So like you can see them on the map, you can engage with them, or you can avoid them if you want. But you basically fight them in a Tetris battle. And like every time you clear a line, you deal a bit of damage. And there are gems that if you pop when you clear the line, it deals more damage. But it wants you to like set up particular combos to like land big hits or like feed health back into your character. And so like everything is controlled on the Tetris board, which I think is a very neat and novel idea. And I liked how like there were some people who were talking about it in the Discord, who were remiss because the sequence of blocks that you mess around with wasn't truly random. That like if they aren't truly random, I feel like I'm not really playing Tetris. But one of the things that I found that was very interesting about it is that because I had the same sequence of blocks every time, I could like create a game plan like I would in an RPG. Like if I'm going into a boss battle and I know what I'm dealing with, I want to do this, and this, and then I can apply those kind of like tactics to Tetris, which led to like a novel experience for me in particular. And then there are like puzzles outside of combat where like they'll give you like a series of blocks and they want you to make a shape out of the Tetris blocks. And you basically get to sit around and play in like a non-time constrained, like pressure constrained version of Tetris to like create these shapes. And like that stuff was cool. Like I've been messing around with it like on and off. And I've liked the things that have come about since it's been announced on Kickstarter. In fact, I think I actually am going to get a couple of like copies for it. I think I'm going to give away one on the show or maybe on the stream or something. But Flowstone Saga, keep an eye out for
it. Well, let's talk about Boomerang X. Boomerang X is a video game that is very committed to making everything that you do feel like it's cool as shit.
Cool.
Yeah, and like I'm a big fan of making things feel cool in video games. Boomerang X's like movement systems feel like incredibly reminiscent of those from Quake back in the day. Like if you are familiar with rocket jumping, if rocket jumping is something that you are at all like comfortable with or familiar with, then like Boomerang X is going to like fit like a glove. And Boomerang X is like, okay, like, well, what if you had a game which was like built around like rocket jumping and grappling, and you have the ability to make the rocket come back to you. So like everything just feels neat. It's like it's very satisfying. Just like see the way all these like systems like fit together. It's also like very, very big on like arena based combat situations, and like and increasingly in first person shooters are now about like slowly turtling your way up territory and and seeking cover and moving yourself around the space slowly to see if you can find like health or armor or whatever. Um, it is less and less true that the arena shooters are now about just getting dumped into a large room which has no cover and then doing the thing, right? That is less of a thing now. But like it's definitely like a very cool feeling to get thrown into a room and be like, okay, there's 10 enemies in here. I'm not going to get to leave this room. Like, the doors to this room won't open unless I, like, kill the things in this room. How do I do it? And, like, it just feels so good when you start to, like, learn how to, like, put together all of the systems. Like in this game where you're like, okay, well, if I grapple up here, I can immediately spin around and point my boomerang down, which will then shoot me up to that like ledge there. Like, moving feels good, shooting feels good, emptying rooms feels good, and also like a good shooter from the mid to late '90s. It's also like absolutely just like replete with secrets. There's like little secret stuff everywhere. So it definitely has that whole like it feels good to go behind like a waterfall feeling, you know, like all right, what's back here? There are hidden bosses like that. That's another like very cool thing. Like going to a room and then discovering that the hidden thing is a thing that will fuck you up is like a cool feel, because then there's that like thing which I know satisfies Rocky, which is the sense of accomplishment. Like, I mixed it up in a fight I didn't even need to be in, but I came out on top. So like if you're looking for a game that absolutely satisfies technical proficiency but asks the player to use a bunch of like skills which haven't really been necessary in first-person shooters for a long time. Like this is a way to go. Like I feel like there is a firm dividing line in the history of first-person shooters, which is Halo 2 and Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Like there is the before and there is the after those games, and this is a game that feels comfortably like those games never existed. Yeah, it is a wild time. Here's a game that I would like to spend more time with, but just that's the way the year played out. I only got about halfway through. I feel bad about it, but the time I have spent with it has resonated with me, and I'm sure what's going to happen is that I'm going to get back and like get through the rest next year, and then feel bad about not having played through all of it this year. But Boyfriend Dungeon is a very good video game, and Boyfriend Dungeon like does one of those things which I like, which is effective mechanical genre mashups. Like I like when games like take different types of like ways of interacting with spaces and different ways of interacting with a game and then combining them. And like I have felt for a while that like visual novels were ripe for the picking, and like the dating simulators were ripe for the picking as far as like combining with other things. And so this feels like there were things around the edges of Hades that felt like a dating simulator, but like never strictly like a dating simulator. Like Hades, like kind of like nudged at romance and nudged at sexuality, but like it didn't like fully embrace like the mechanical components of those of that genre, if that makes sense. Like Hades was doing its own thing, Boyfriend Dungeon is like, okay, what if we had a procedural dungeon crawler which has experience that preserves between runs, but in addition to being a procedural dungeon crawler with experience that persists between runs, there's also like an entirely fully baked visual novel dating game that you need to navigate as well. And that stuff is good. Earlier, we were talking about Tender Creature Comforts. We talked about how like Tender Creature Comforts uses being played on a phone well. Here, I want to specifically call out Boyfriend Dungeon's phone, like giving the main character a fully featured phone where they can like fiddle around and waste time and distract themselves is good because that is what people do with their phones. So like it is good that you can fiddle around on your phone, which also like is how this game like is able to create both senses of like dread and anticipation, because it is like one of the things that this game does is that there are messages from characters that you both want to talk to and don't want to talk to, that the messages won't come in from those characters until you're already doing something else on your phone. So like you'll be on your phone, like either browsing your email or responding to text messages or like looking at stuff about like locations in the game. And then a message will come in from somebody on your phone. And now you have to deal with it. And now you have to respond to it. And like I know that like something which like I have experienced is the feeling of doing something else on my phone and then somebody contacts me, and just the way that like getting that message makes me feel like like whether it be as simple as like you get a message on Slack that says like, hey, I have a deliverable I need to work on, or you get a message from like a friend that you haven't heard from in a while, or somebody who you don't want to talk to. Like the experience of holding your phone while a new message arrives, like it's very specific, and Boyfriend Dungeon captures that very, very like well. Yeah, so I recommend it. The combat is fun. The dialogue is fun. That all said, there is like an entire discourse which I don't feel the need to retread here. But what I will say is that Boyfriend Dungeon now has a very specific content warning, which is also available on its store description pages on various marketplaces. Please read that content warning before engaging with the game. And if you find the topics discussed and triggering, then maybe give it a skip. Yeah.
There's that one in fucking Parks and Rec where that lady comes in to yell at Swanson, and she's like, that water, that lake next to in like Sun Park. No. There's a fuck. It's like, there's a sign in Russet Park that says don't drink the water. Well, I made sun tea with it and now I have an infection. So what are you going to do about it? It's like, bro, please, bro.
There are people who do that though.
Yeah.
Like the person who called in and was like, "Hey, I think you should move the Animal Crossing sign because like that's not a safe place for animals to cross." It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean that's not what the sign's for? Yeah, it is. How else do the animals know where they can cross the road? And like that's just not a safe spot for them. I can't see them. It's like, no. It's to warn you that animals might cross there because they often do. No, it's so the animals know where they're supposed to cross the road.
Animals can't read, lady! Oh my god.
Apparently she can't either, frankly. Jesus.
Video games, right?
Video games.
Yeah. So, in it, I'm sorry, I was distracted by a soda,
Sure.
A good soda?
Um,
Is it Monster Energy that you turned from the air in the atmosphere, or the rain in the atmosphere into Monster Energy?
it is not. Um, there is a place in Texas, called Dublin, Texas, and it was the home of the first place that received a license to bottle and sell Dr. Pepper. And for years,
Do they have special Dr. Pepper? Is that what you're telling me?
yes, they do.
Okay.
Yeah, it is Dr. Pepper, um, entirely unchanged from the original formula as created by Charles Aldrich in 1885. So when they were granted the license to begin bottling Dr. Pepper in 1891, was based on the absolute original recipe for Dr. Pepper. And so for someone like me, who has a weird relationship with Dr. Pepper and a deep appreciation of Dr. Pepper, getting some soda from Dublin, Texas was worth the amount it took to ship a six-pack of glass bottle soda from Dublin, Texas. So yes, I was distracted by a soda. It's very good. Arietta of Spirits is not a Dr. Pepper. It is a video game.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's a Zelda-like, right?
Yes. It is a Zelda-like, which you will be able to knock off in about 4.5 hours. It is one of the things I like about Arietta of Spirits is how effectively they create outdoor dungeons, which is apparently becoming like an increasingly lost art in game design. Like this was something that we talked about when the release of Skyward Sword happened, where the first major dungeon that you encounter in Skyward Sword is like entirely outdoors, but like the game is very clever about it. It doesn't like signpost it and say like, haha, you've reached the game's first major dungeon. And you only begin to like recognize it as such when you start realizing that the game is making you do dungeon things. So like outdoor dungeons are fun and good, and Arietta of Spirits is like very good at that. This is a tight little Zelda game. Like if what you come to Zelda for is the dungeon puzzling, the sensation of existing on like a rail to the final confrontation, which was not necessarily true of like the original Legend of Zelda, but was pretty effectively true from like Link to the Past forward through like most, where like, okay, there's an order that you need to do things. So like if you like that sensation of being propelled from like dungeon to dungeon to dungeon on your way to the final confrontation, if that gives you like a warm sense of like, things are as it should be, then this game is going to like hit some notes for you. It's also like a good little game about like a young girl dealing with grief. Like her grandma died, but because of the way the game works, it's not like grandma is like locked away forever. In fact, like pretty early on in the game, like you're talking to your grandma because you have an ability to contact the spirit world. So it's like, okay, how does Arietta like deal with not just her own feeling of loss toward her grandma, but also her parents' feeling of loss? And good dungeons. And compared to so many other games that got played this year, is like comparatively bite-sized. So if you want a Zelda game that you can reasonably just like settle in and play over the course of a single night, this is a good one. Again,
Pocket Zelda.
Yeah, it is a pocket Zelda. Like it's not I wouldn't say it's bite size because it's like I said, it's about a 4.5 hour commitment, um, but it's about a 4.5 hour commitment. Like it is a game that you can play from start to finish in the course of a single evening, which is a nice feeling.
Mm.
Um, I felt the need to put so many like ifs and thens in my qualifying. Like here's why to play it, because I know that there are also like people who come to Zelda like Tegan who aren't necessarily there because of their mechanical interest in the series, but are there for like lore and world building, you know, and
Yep.
I don't.
That's absolutely it.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know if this holds anything for you, but like, I think
That's fair. I did download the demo for it. I just never got around to playing it.
yeah, like I think this would like say hold something for like say Joe Spiro, who's like always, whenever he's come on the show, like expressed a strong preference for the way dungeons are built in traditional 2D Zeldas over like 3D Zelda dungeon building, and has always like loudly professed like dungeons as being his primary point of interest in the Zelda series. So like for somebody like that, I'd say like this game's an auto buy. But like if you come to Zelda because what you want to do is like debate how the Koroks fucking carve their masks, then like this is not for you. Golf Club, Wasteland is a video game about the ultimate endpoint of hypercapitalism, which is that like the rich did leave Earth and everyone else did die, and now the rich are living a miserable existence on like some like rotating space station where they are getting to deal with like rations in the future because like hey, the reality is that all of these like vanity projects to leave Earth as designed by Elon Musk at all don't really plan for the idea of like creating a thriving new ecosystem for humanity. It's just basically like a place where like they can live long enough to like not experience a more
See the consequences of their actions.
yeah they're not caring about like humans thousands in the years in the future. They're just like, I would like to die a natural death sitting in some like space station, you know, instead of like dying an earlier death here on Earth. So like this is that, and in this game you play an incredibly rich old person who is participating in one of the hobbies of the wealthy, which is to come back to Earth while wearing a full body encounter suit, and playing golf in the ruins of humanity.
Rude.
Yeah. But like if I were to talk about like video games that like effectively communicate the vibe of the entire world right now, does that feel right? You know?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be the right thing, but it is.
Yeah. I mean, I agree, Tegan. Like, I don't want this, but it's real. Which kind of feels like the opposite of like the Obama Geodude meme. Like, you know, like I don't want it, but it's here. You know. And like it's very satisfying in an angry sort of way to be like to do well at this game because you unlock more like audio logs and diary entries for your character, and you discover more about your character and how they're wealthy and selfish and could have thrown billions of dollars of money toward like helping people and maybe trying to like materially impact climate change, but they didn't. You know, they just wanted to make sure that they got a spot on the space station. And how now that they're old and their body is failing, they now don't want to face the consequences of their actions again, because every time, like whenever they're on the space station, like getting their rations and like shuffling around like the closed, you know, like corridors of the space station, they're like, oh, I have to face the consequences of what I've done and the world I helped create. And so basically, they've come back to Earth to, on paper, play a game of golf because that's what they're allowed to do. But what they're really there to do is like take the helmet off their spacesuits so that way they die from exposure to Earth's atmosphere. Like this is a game about like a wealthy person wanting to commit suicide because they are uncomfortable with the consequences of their own behavior. All wrapped up in a golf game.
Wild.
Yeah.
I hear the golf's pretty good.
Yeah, the golf is really good.
I'd hope so if it's a wealthy person golf, you know? Jesus. Imagine if you come back to Earth and the golf just sucked.
Would be embarrassing for everyone involved.
Yeah. So if you're looking for a game that will hopefully make you angry, then check this out. If you play this game and you find it like it doesn't make you angry, then maybe like re-examine your politics. Rocky, you want to take a few, or should I keep going?
You can keep going.
Okay. Also played a game called Eastward.
Yeah, Eastward is pretty good.
Yeah. Eastward is very much like, what if the puzzling and combat and map layout ideas of a Zelda series met the writing and central like thesis of the Mother series. It's very much like, what if Zelda and Mother had a baby?
Excellent.
Yeah.
So it's excellent, is what you're
Yep.
saying.
Yep. And like on top of all of that, like there is this like recurring thing that happens throughout the game, which is where people in the world are all very excited about this like very popular video game, and they gather in public spaces to play it together. And early on in the game, like you can purchase a memory card so that that way you can play this game in public spaces. And the game that you have an opportunity to play is very much like, feels like Final Fantasy 1 or 2. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And at that point, it just kind of feels like this video game is like doing donuts in the parking lot. Like, hey, we're effectively doing Zelda stuff. We're effectively doing Earthbound stuff. And Final Fantasy stuff didn't really fit within that. And so, like, the game that everybody's really excited about in this world is Final Fantasy. So go play Final Fantasy in a game within a game and have, like, a save file that you can carry with you, which is neat. One of the things that Wind Waker does effectively, and that Skyward Sword does effectively, is this sense of like what comes next between like impossibly large distances. Eastward does that as well. Like once you get to the surface of the Earth, and there's like large portions of the Earth which have been like apocalypsed, like there's like huge swaths of the map where like nobody lives and nothing is happening. And like generally in like traditional like JRPGs, when you're encounter like large swaths of like nobody lives here and nothing is happening, then usually what most JRPGs do will just give you like a mechanic that helps to make traveling between the 2 points trivial. It's like, congratulations, here's your fucking airship, you know, that kind of thing. Right. It's like, now that you have the airship, like these giant empty spaces are trivial and meaningless. And so you never actually feel like the world is empty. Because like you're able to just like move so quickly between the spaces. But like Eastward is like, no, how about you have to drive between like the populated spaces, really underscoring how much of the world is empty. Which I think is a good vibe. You know, it gives you this like enormous sense of relief whenever you do like arrive to a populated center. And makes you grateful for interactions when you find them. It makes every town, it makes every city feel special.
Okay.
Yeah, and like it definitely captures that feeling I had when I would like see a new island on the horizon in Wind Waker. Because, like, yes, even though Tegan has pointed out that there's shit to do on the open sea in Wind Waker is in a lot of ways like a very lonely game. Because you're like, well, I guess I'm out here on the sea. I guess I could fucking fish for something. I could see if I could get my lion boat to get me something out of the sea. But like, there's a lot of spaces in like, say, Wind Waker where there's no one around, and what you're doing is like ultimately like, I guess, entertaining yourself or distracting yourself. And then you realize more often than not, it's distracting yourself, not entertaining yourself, because you're kind of like getting away from the fact that so much of the world is empty. And like that is very much true in Eastward, where a game which has so much character and so much heart, and all of the characters are really like warm in that like mother kind of way, that part of what makes the character writing so satisfying is giant spaces between cities. I guess the best way to describe it is like, what if it took you, like 25 real world minutes to get between Onet and Tucson in Earthbound?
Jesus.
You know, no, like
so much time.
You will eventually find things that make that shorter, but like,
sure.
But nothing that's ever going to make it like entirely go away. I think that's a cool thing, Make getting to town feel special. Make talking to people, feel special. Rocky, you want to take one, or should I keep going?
Keep going.
Okay. Let us talk about a video game which I am now over 300 hours deep into.
There it is.
Is it time?
It's time.
It's time!
Let us talk about Zookeeper World.
Yeah! Tell me about the zoo, Brian. Are you in the top 100 yet? Top 10.
Let's get a live update.
Let's get live update live from Brian's phone right now.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Well, see, they rolled out 25 new levels. Where they also put out a balance match for level 256. And thank you both for humoring my message about the difficulty balancing on level 256.
I wasn't humoring you. It's cool. You caught the balance.
Let's see.
Yeah, it means you were right. And if there's one thing we've already established on the show, I love being right. Yeah. And so obviously you must also love being right.
Because people are...
Obviously.
Jesus Christ, Steve. That's...
Oh, thank you. I needed that, team.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Happy to help.
Okay. Leaderboard. Since the new levels have come out, and the new levels are much harder, I have tumbled in zoo rank, everyone, because I have not yet.
Oh no!
I have not yet finished all of the new levels.
Sure. Oh, okay. Recoverable then.
Yeah. And I am currently number 1,023 in the world for my zoo rank. And I am I am number 1,468 for my star collection, which is, have you collected all the stars in the game? So like Zookeeper World is a game which is, again, I guess at its heart, if you were to like try and say like, give me one genre which this game is, the answer is, I guess, match 3 puzzler, but it's also the game is also like a fully developed like zoo management, zoo building plaything.
Simulator.
Yeah. You're building and you're populating a zoo. You're building exhibits. You're picking animals to put in the exhibits. You're building other attractions for the zoo. attract prospective attendees to the zoo. And unlike so many sim games, which one I would call like very depersonalized, like I don't know if y'all have played much time with like Roller Coaster Tycoon or Theme Park or anything like that. Like where it'll just like push like a text notification on the screen and be like, somebody wants a roller coaster with 3 loop-de-loops. Build it.
Yeah.
Like the way you encounter it in like Zookeeper World is like you'll walk up to the individual patron who wants the thing, and they'll tell you like what they want and why they want it. Like there was like a patron who was like a school teacher, and she's like, I couldn't possibly get the school board to allow me to bring my class here until there are 25 animals. Do you think that you could get 25 animals so I can bring my class here? And then like,
That's neat.
yeah. And then like once you satisfy each patron's request, like they continue to visit the zoo, and then they'll make donations to the zoo for its ongoing upkeep. And whenever you collect their donation, they'll tell you what they're thinking about the zoo at that moment. And oftentimes it relates to their underlying motivations.
So that teacher's like, wow, there's so many animals here. I'm so glad I can bring my kids here on a field trip.
Right, there's so much stuff here I can teach about. She'll talk about how she can teach about what's at the zoo. Like one of the patrons who wanders the zoo is a cabbie. And the cabbie, like when he just wanders the zoo, is like, this is a great place to hang out between fairs, and like as you get deeper into the game, like the characters that like start to wander the zoo as patrons become like increasingly like silly or lighthearted, because like your zoo is becoming so popular that now even like this goofy thing will show up. Like I have one zombie that wanders my zoo now.
A zombie?
I have a single zombie, and he doesn't cause trouble. And he just like wanders around. He looks at the exhibits, and
At the risk of playing into stereotypes, you say he doesn't cause trouble, but they're a zombie?
they are a zombie, and they don't cause trouble. They are there to be a cute chibi zombie. And the zombie periodically brings donations, and what he
Zombie has a job?
apparently, or maybe maybe he was independently wealthy before he died,
Okay.
Maybe he works as like a scare attraction person for like Halloween.
I mean, that's a big check that carries them all year.
Yeah.
I want to know how that contract looks like.
But yeah,
I mean, it's easy when you're a real life zombie. Like everybody wants you.
I mean, I suppose that's true. If you had a choice between like a Santa with a legitimate big white beard and an actual pot belly versus a guy who's going to put on a beard which hangs over his ears with hooks and has to put a pillow under his shirt, which Santa are you hiring?
Fair enough.
Yeah. So like,
Real beard Santas exist, and they are great.
right.
They go to Santa school. Did you know that there's Santa school?
Oh, also, I do want to highlight this. Since the COVID-19 pandemic has begun, over 300 Santas have died being Santas, and that's why there is a Santa shortage this year. So before you decide to bitch at your mall kiosk people about why the Santa doesn't look right this year, maybe consider what you've been doing to help people out with COVID.
Yeah.
And rent.
Did the Santa shortage story come to your attention because of the hilarious way that Fox News covered it?
I think it was a byproduct of that.
Okay, yeah, like where Fox News was like, "There's a Santa shortage. We're baffled. What is even happening?"
Is it the same way that they've been covering like the U.S. labor shortage?
Yeah.
Like 500,000 people died. What are you expecting?
See, I don't know what pandemic you're encountering where only 500,000 people died, but that sounds like a better pandemic.
I know.
Yeah.
That's just where I stopped paying attention. 500,000 people is enough. Like,
Taking that bet.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm aware. I'm aware. I just turned my counter off.
Yeah. Well, much like the odometer in your vehicle, does it mean we aren't still racking up miles?
Right. I just unplugged that that bad boy.
Oh God, Tegan, please.
My mileage can't hurt me if I can't see it.
No.
Ugh. It's a proven scientific fact that if you don't feel the lump, it can't get any worse.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's a zombie that comes to.
Yeah, he comes to the zoo. There's a geisha that comes to the zoo.
Cool.
And
What does the zombie want to see?
oh, the zombie. The zombie very much wanted to see a tiger because he heard that tigers eat brains.
Aw, that's cute.
Yeah. And like, I've enjoyed. Like, there are times where I'll just be like playing this game, but all I'm fucking doing at any given point is flying around my zoo in my UFO. Like, I have a flying saucer now. And I can now like survey my domain and check out my zoo. And get a good idea as to like where to put future attractions. Yesterday I just installed a Ferris wheel. And it's so much fun to watch my patrons, because all of your patrons will interact with all the various objects and distractions that you've installed into. They do more than just like look at the animals and clap at the animals. So like when I put in a Ferris wheel, like people immediately started getting on the Ferris wheel.
That's neat.
Yeah, and it's just so cute. Like the graphical presentation is very much in line with what I would call like peak Nintendo DS era. It's kind of like if someone brought forward the aesthetic of like the DS puzzle game era, and it was like, okay, like what if we made a DS puzzle game in 2021? So it has a lot of that like shine, it has a lot of that polish. All of the previous games in this series were in fact on Nintendo consoles, just like Apple threw Kitaretsu money to develop this one and put it in Apple Arcade. And like this was a cult favorite, a cult hit. And Kitaretsu was not sure that they were going to continue development in the series until they got funding from Apple, which helped soften the risk for them. Funny enough, like after Zookeeper World proved to be like a large hit within Apple Arcade, Meta engaged them and said, would you be interested in porting this game to VR for the Oculus Quest? And so Zookeeper Quest is now available for Oculus.
Oh, it's available?
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. Like one of the things which like one of the experiences I've had with it, like being a Oculus Quest owner, is that generally the time between announcement and release for games is like very, very low. Like it seems like the idea of like the hype cycle for pre-release games in VR is very, very short. It's usually like, hey, here's an exciting video game. It will be available in 2 weeks. You know, not like, here's an exciting video game. Look forward to it in 2023. You know? Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that. And like, I've enjoyed, Zookeeper Quest in Oculus, but I really just love like the pick up and play feeling of Zookeeper World. Like I've enjoyed like absolutely like chasing precision, chasing excellence. Like I just love knowing how large the player base is, and that like I sit damn near the top of it. Like that I am better at this game than most people. That feels good. I love like sitting there with like a puzzle for like playing the same board over and over and over again. Being like I have to achieve an excellent ranking on this. I need the excellent ranking. I cannot settle for good, and just wanting to get excellent on everything, and just like figuring out how to like maximize the whole point value of my park. Like if I put a rocket over there, if I put a phone booth over there, if I put a fancy outfit on my penguins, what will happen? Add to that like delightful music, cute characters. Like it is a both relaxing and demanding time. Like I like how hard the hard puzzles are. but I like how chill the overall vibe is. Like, I have spent so much time in this game. It has definitely been one of my absolute favorite things to do with games all year. Um, as part of the DLC pack that just came out, there is also it is now Christmas in the zoo, and they're like, hey, and now here's the Christmas levels as well. Beat them all, and you get Christmas gear for your zoo. And I'm just trying to think about the last time that a game was like, hey, here's a holiday event, and I was this excited. You know, like I'm having trouble thinking of it. I was like, oh wow, like I want to get a wreath for the entrance to my zoo. Holy shit, I need the wreath. You know, and like I just I like that feeling. I like the fact that like when this game doles out little stuff to me, that it gets me excited. I think probably part of it is a lot of times, especially with like puzzle games that have like incremental updates, you'll take a look at new levels and you're like, oh, these levels look lazy, or like the design of them suck. But maybe it's because of the background of the dev team here, that they primarily worked in like console development, that I haven't had that experience. Like I haven't played a level yet that feels tossed off. You know what I mean? And like even in the language that they use to talk to the player base, it feels like they're coming from like a different background when they're talking about the levels. Like, you know, like with so many like mobile games, you'll see them refer to something as like, oh, the new update, the new update, the new update, right? But instead, what the way the Zookeeper world talks to its players is they say, you should have the new DLC downloaded. I'm like, oh, you're not even using the common language of this device. So it feels like the game is able to take advantage of a lot of the things which make being good, like which are good about being on the phone, but bringing with them with sensibilities that come from a background in console development. So it really was like emblematic of a lot of the best parts of like the Apple Arcade experience overall this year. Just absolutely distilled. Like I would never have expected like, okay, thing that Apple can go get that will absolutely just like hook me and say like, oh, okay, the $5 a month I give Apple is 100% worth it. Is like this like niche puzzle game series where they're like, well, what if we chase down the next one in this series? But like, I guess that's a thing that like I should at this point like start expecting them to do. That like their games dev team are going to be the ones that like chase down Fantasian, and they're going to be the team that like goes and gets a new game from Platinum, and goes and gets a new golf game from Claphands. That like getting newly developed games from like respected Japanese developers seems to be like part of Apple Arcade's formula for success at this point.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I know that like a lot of people have like talked about the idea of like, oh, okay, well, if you love Japanese video games, like the consoles to get are like PlayStations and Switches that,
those are the classic answers.
Yeah, those are the classic answers, because, you know, like Microsoft historically has not had as strong a relationship with Japanese publishers. But I feel like giving that answer now, I would say like, okay, well, if you want to get like the best of what's going on in Japanese game development, have a Switch, have a PlayStation, but also consider picking up an Apple device. I guess this is the part where somebody will accuse me of shilling.
Oh, no, I'm not going to accuse you. I know that you're shilling, but I'm going to leave it alone. It's fine.
Okay. But yeah.
I'm just disappointed that you're shilling for free.
man.
Rock, do you have any video game you would like to talk about?
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna talk about Tales of Arise. Actually, yes. I've spent a good chunk of time with these anime bullshit thing that's going on, and it's really cool.
There's so much anime bullshit though. It's good.
Yeah, this is actually this is the same vein of like say like Dodgeball Academia, where like the people that are making this are very aware of anime and they decided that it's funny. But like instead of like, you know, poking fun at it specifically, what they're doing is that they're just taking it to the edge. If you watch anime, you see some of these character interactions, like, oh, so they're not gonna like each other, but they are uniquely suited to interact with each other. That's kind of nuts. Let's see how they grow closer. It's like, oh man, like everyone that touches her is gonna hurt or whatever. Like, what happens if he tries to grab her at some point and then he's the only one that could save her? And then they did the other thing where they pull the rug under us, and then it's the one time that he actually feels pain, and then they realize they may not be destined for each other or whatever. This is a great heart-rending moment. But Tales of Arise is an action role-playing game that is made by the people who create a series in which RPGs happen, but Final Fantasy never did. And so they are unbound by their design conceits, and they decided to make their own. They've been running with it for about 20 years. To be honest, they've had middling success. Their best hit was probably 15 years ago, but now we have this. And this shit slaps. It is fast, engaging action combat. It is very simple to piece together like progress. I really like how major enemies have like a weak spot that you can exploit. And when it cracks, you get the reward of like a big like damage window. And it's very easy to see on screen. It's very easy to internalize, like, oh, I need to do this so I can get this opening and cash in a bunch of damage. And, like, everything's super flashy. The voice acting is both well-considered and, like, fervent and, like, eye-catching. It's so good. Like, I love, like, the goofy actual shonen protagonist, Law, who is, he's a pugilist. And he, has like just the goofiest lines ever that he shares with other people. Like there's at one point where Shield Bay, Kisara, is like locking down an enemy and she shouts, "I'll stop your movement." And then Law jumps over her shoulder to land a roundhouse kick to say, "And I'll stop your life."
It's so good.
Like, and there's just so much crazy bananas bullshit that is always going on. And they're like, I really like how some of the things have like, difficulty checks in ways that I'm used to. Like, for example, I was fighting a boss that actually had a DPS check. Mm-hmm. And like, they were charging a spell that if he got to finish, I will die. And the first time I did it, I mean, to be fair, the AI kind of crapped out on me and one of my characters said to not hit the boss anymore. But, I really liked putting together those things where, like, if I got stopped for a second, then I had to, like, internalize for a moment, I'm not dealing enough damage. What can I do to improve that? And then I found, like, obvious things that I could improve on, that I could put together, and then it made everything easier, and we got through the thing. I like how the game uses sporadic anime cutscenes. Like, there are cutscenes throughout the game or whatever, but every once in a while there will be a fully hand-drawn animated cutscene that we get to watch. And it means some shit is about to hit the fan, so get ready.
Some big shit. It's always the big, like, there's big reveals in, like, the CG cutscenes, but there are huge reveals in the drawn cutscenes.
Brian, there's one where, like, where the citizen army captured the boss, right? And, they were about to, like, burn her at the stake. And, they light the torch or whatever, and they're about to, like, light the effigy, and then she basically turns the whole situation on them using like their like incredible hatred of her to liquefy them, and then just like reveal that she's actually been in control the entire time.
It was wild.
Yeah, and that's one anime cutscene. That's one of the anime cutscenes. And like the protag, like I mean, he's not a shonen protagonist, but he's our dumb anime boy. So like he makes terrible decisions, but it's just like, you know what, you go, kid. let's see where this goes.
He constantly makes bad decisions. It's so great. Every time he makes a decision, I'm like, you sure? We're going, okay.
Yeah.
That's where you think we need to go, I guess.
And then, like, every character, like, is individually controllable. So you don't even have to control the main character any longer than, like, you get a second party member, which is pretty early on. And every main character has, like, a bespoke toolkit that feels interesting to mess around with. Like, for example, Protag. He has the ability to bet his own HP on his next hit. So you can hold an ability and it'll burn against your body. You'll lose HP, but it'll do a shit ton of damage. Mm-hmm. Or Shion, who's our gunner, has a series of, like, elemental bombs that she can throw out. So she, like, has, like, a rotation where you want to use those effectively. Law is our pugilist, and he has a mechanic where if you don't take damage, but you continue to hit the enemy, you get more and more damage buffs. Like, you get attack speed buffs, you get damage buffs, and, like, you can just, if you have the knowledge to not get hit by anything, you'll just melt everything. Lord Dopamine, that's not his real name, but that's what I'm gonna call him, has a mechanic where he fights with a pole arm, and as you evade enemy attacks, the pole arm gets longer and it deals more damage. So, like, you can basically combo, like, infinitely. I think I showed Tegan a video where someone landed a 400 hit combo with fucking Lord Dopamine.
It was so good.
And it was absolutely bananas.
Peak anime bullshit.
Brian, there's a caster mage girl, who, like, can do auto attacks and then, like, weave in magic, like, as she's doing, like, the auto attacks. But also she has, like, incredible movement. She has a dash and a double jump. Like, imagine being a mage, you can double jump over shit, Brian. Like, and, like, every time the game shows me, like, a new and unique toy to, like, fuck around with. And it's very, very cool. And, like, boss battles are these huge, like, brilliant encounters that, like, test, like, your metal. They want you to, like, use everything. Like, you know, like, there's a lot of people who play, like, RPGs with a specific idea in mind where, like, they don't want to use items because they're afraid that someday they might need them and they won't have them. But, like, Tales very much puts you in situations where it's like, this is a big fight. If you're not going to use your items here, where are you going to use them? And, like,
and that gives you, like, ample opportunity to restock afterwards. So it's not like you burned all your items and that's it.
Yeah.
You know?
And there's fun side quests. There's this guy who, like, in every region, is just on a tour for some reason. And he wants you to cook a local dish every time you run into him. There's a farm that you get access to. So, like, now I occasionally ranch. And you have to set up, like, the animals that you want to, like, raise. But also the animals that you want to protect your cattle and whatnot from attacking monsters. It is a very big and, like, interesting experience, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm not done yet.
So something I have read about this video game, which I think is very interesting, and I'd like to hear about you talk about the game in this context.
Sure.
Is I have read that overall the average age on this development team is, like, quite young, especially considered against, like, the average age of development team on most, like, major Japanese studio games, because Japanese publishers are traditionally, like, very top down in the way that they run games, and it'll be like, okay, here is a video game, and here is the 65 to 70-year-old man who has been making video games since, like, 1981, who will now tell you how to make the video game. And that, like, this game was very much not that, and that, like, the various project leads and the various directors on the game are all very young. And I want to hear about how does that feel different? Like, how does, like, a big budget Japanese game driven by youth at the helm feel?
I don't know. Feels cool. Feels like they went apeshit in a way that I guess adults wouldn't let them.
Yeah, it definitely feels like someone gave baby power because baby demanded power and baby utilized it to the best of their ability.
Yeah. I think there's a focus on there's a focus away from more traditional, like, gameplay elements. Like, I'd say, like, inventory management is not that big a deal, you know? Like, like, because there are definitely games that are tuned around inventory management, where it's just like you want to use these things, and like the game is very much like fuck it. Like they have some controls in the sense of like increasing the price of certain items, but like the goal of like say like generalizing healing as like a party controlled resource instead of like an individual character MP, and like tying it to like exploration and like tuning it so that your challenges are like, if you're going by the skin of your teeth, maybe don't explore too much, and like that's like on screen at all times, you can just see the CP bar or whatever. And like I feel like the attention that they've given to like voice acting is a much newer idea as far as RPGs go, and I think it's like been to great result here.
It's an idea that's definitely paying off.
Mm-hmm. And like, I don't know, like if it's a younger team, I guess that makes sense. Like it feels spirited, it feels fresh, as opposed to like Tales games for the last 10 years, I guess. And so I don't know. Like, I guess it's cool that they have a younger team. I hope there are more younger teams out there. Let's get paid or whatever.
Well, that's real, man. I feel like there's a lot of games from this year that just because of like the way my time played out, I didn't have a chance to screw with. But I feel like this is one that I really would like to, just because like I'm interested in like the story of this game's development. I'm interested from how it's different from other big budget Japanese games. Just like I'm interested in like the story of how like apparently the Resident Evil Village team had like minimal oversight from Capcom. Usually Capcom is very much like nanny boss with teams.
Right.
And like,
well, I mean, that hasn't worked for them for the past couple like Resident Evil games, so that makes sense to me. But
like Capcom is apparently like increasingly less nanny boss with video games. And that this was the first time where they didn't send anybody in to be like, okay, take this out, put this in, like that just basically the team got to do what they wanted. And
I think it's a lot more those types of decisions are finding a lot more like success, because like there isn't like a script to like what exactly a video game has to be.
Right.
Like outright anymore, or more importantly, the script that has existed for so long has become stale.
Right.
And so like relying on that script is like, hey, like where is your big flashy encounter? Where is your sassy like deuteragonist? Like that type of shit. Like people aren't excited about it, and more importantly, there are so many other alternatives for each of those things that like if you're just sticking to the formula, you may end up losing what makes your game special.
I'm curious to see what it will look like as more and more Nintendo games get led by younger producers.
Sure.
Another thing I feel the need to say on the record once again is that the year that Mario Odyssey came out, I wrote it too hard during Game of the Year. I'm a bad man and a stupid person.
Oh my god.
No one thinks that, Brian.
Yeah, like Jesus Christ.
Just because looking back on it, you realize it wasn't as great.
No. Tegan, it is the opposite problem.
Looking back on it, you felt like you were tougher on it than it deserved.
Exactly.
It doesn't make you a horrible person. Just fucking relax.
It's just like,
also
like Super Mario Odyssey is, wow.
It was a good game.
Yeah.
It's a good video game, yeah.
That's okay.
It's a great video game. And it feels young and fresh and wild and fucking crazy. And I think a lot of that has to do with like Koizumi. And I just wonder like when are more of like the old guard at Nintendo finally going to take their fucking pocket watch and retire, for Christ's sake? Like,
oh, it's whenever they fuck up this Mario movie. Obviously. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be that.
There is nothing that will make them send Miyamoto out to pasture.
Miyamoto is losing his mind. I love the guy. I'm grateful for his contributions to gaming and Nintendo as a whole. but he is fucking this shit up. And when this shit shits the bed, there may be people that will defend him, but I don't think it's gonna work.
Do you remember that time they put out that Star Fox game that like no one wanted to play for the Wii U because it was like this weird mess, and like the way that it asked you to use the second screen on the Wii U gamepad was like completely untenable, and it was just like, hey everybody, it's Star Fox Zero. If you even vaguely like Star Fox, we're going to make this game unplayable. If you don't like Star Fox, there's no reason to try it. This game is just a weird, horrible, garbage nightmare. And like all of the writing about the game was just about like how hands-on Miyamoto was in development. He's just like, oh yeah, I'm really getting in there. I'm really rolling up my sleeves this time. Like this is my baby. Star Fox Zero is all me. And everything I read about the game and the little bit I tried to play, because I fucking tried to play that game, was just like, what is this fucking shit? Like, if somebody who wasn't like the goddamn Steven Spielberg of video games had tried, if just fucking like Dick Flanders was like, please check out my GOTY 2-screen flying game that sucks, people would have like laughed the person out of the industry. Like, it's amazing how bad the bad ideas are that Miyamoto just gets a pass on now.
I mean, pass doesn't sound like what actually happened. Like, I mean, if I remember correctly, Star Fox Zero came out, Miyamoto took full responsibility, and he got roasted for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe he didn't get fired, which is different, I guess, but like, I don't know if I count that as giving him a pass. They definitely like been putting him in like a barn. They're trying to figure out who's going to shoot him, but like no one wants to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I know, like, I mean, like this,
and also like the way that Japanese work culture is, like he will work until he dies unless they force him out of the office.
Right.
But the thing is like that is increasingly less true in Japanese work culture. Like the nominal age for retirement right now in Japan is actually creeped down.
Right, but he's not part of the generation that's creeping it down. He's still part of that generation that will work until he dies.
But with like Japanese people now, like generally retiring at around age 60, which is fucking wild. Imagine being a country and having your shit together enough as a country that people can be like, it's 60, I'm retiring. Isn't that great? But here's fucking Miyamoto. Like, just go home, sir. Play with people that love with you. Love with you.
Love with you, huh?
Yeah. But all right, you know what I mean. Just go do something. Write a book.
Learn about your family.
Well, like he's making a Mario movie.
God, he is.
Chris
Maybe
Pratt's
that's
gonna
what
be in
they're
it.
like, Mr. Miyamoto, you can make this Mario movie, and after you make the Mario movie, will you retire? And he was like, yeah, sure, as long as it's good. And they were like, great. And then they're just looking at the decisions going,
I just want to see Chris Pratt and Charlie Day try to talk to each other for an hour and a half. I just want to see what that's like.
And Mr. Miyamoto's out here
I
like,
don't want to see what that's like. I don't.
he's when this Mario movie comes out, when this Mario movie hits theaters, Miyamoto will be 70 fucking years old.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Sir, it is time. It is time. It is time. And like, I guess the thing that like really like twitches my ass is that like Nintendo as a company is not, they are not above telling somebody it's time to go. Like when the Virtual Boy flamed out, they told Gunpei Yokoi like it's time to go. It was like Gunpei Yokoi, like you've got to go, you've got to go, which is why he went off and like developed the Wonder Swan and so on. Like because like even though he developed the fucking Game Boy, right? The guy who created the Game Boy and also led like one of their largest like development teams and like created like multiple Mario games and like multiple hit Nintendo games and like their goofy grabber arm thing even before they had video game consoles. Like, sir, the Virtual Boy took such a giant shit, you must go. And like he was made to leave. And if Nintendo was like, it's time to retire, air quote retire. Is it that Miyamoto is their fucking mascot? Is it that they can just wheel him out and everybody's like,
hey, look, everybody, it's Miyamoto. Like, is that it?
I mean, if they did that, if it was that, then why'd they let Reggie Fils-Aimé go?
Yeah.
Because he was like the mascot for Nintendo America.
Yeah. But
Bowser, I feel like, has failed to ingratiate himself to like the US Nintendo market, and I'm not saying he has to like be good at his job, but I'm just saying that's like a difference in style between him and Reggie.
yeah, I mean,
you know?
but like Reggie was such a like I don't think there can ever be another Reggie. I really
Oh, absolutely.
yeah because like
there won't be.
Reggie came to Nintendo at a time when E3 was still primarily designed to talk to people who were like the regional sales manager of KB Toys. Like he came in at the very end of the era where E3 was still like a conference for like retailers and distributors,
business professionals,
right?
Yeah,
and that meant that the way Reggie would talk on stage was he was talking like he was talking to those kind of people, but he was also 9 million feet tall and looked like he could eat an entire car bumper with one bite. And had this like charming demeanor about him. So when like giant 9 million foot tall Reggie greets these salespeople at his first E3 and says, "Hi, I'm Reggie Fils-Aimé. I'm here to kick ass and take names." It was literally the first thing he ever said publicly as a representative of Nintendo. And that was before the perception of E3 as being like a public facing event. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo would never allow someone to get onto a fucking Nintendo Direct now and be like, "Hi, I'm Doug Bowser. I'm here to kick ass and take names."
Which is too bad, because if Doug Bowser had came into the thing and said, "I have conquered the Mushroom Kingdom," like, I think the fan base would have been like, "Let's go! We are now in the Koopa Trooper army!" You know?
Right.
And, like, that's not what happened. And it's too bad.
Right.
It's a missed opportunity, especially with everything else that they're doing.
Right.
While I think that Doug Bowser is very much not Reggie Fils-Aimé, I am unconvinced that there will never be another Reggie, and I think Nintendo might be ripe for a new Reggie in the next couple of years.
I would like a new Reggie. I don't think it's going to be Doug Bowser, which is fine. Unless there is ample prodding from the Japanese office, and I don't think the Japanese office is going to do that, because I think the guy who's currently running Nintendo is a big old fucking stick in the mud.
True enough.
Which is garbage! This is the fun company. It should be fun. Every fucking public event should look like a fucking circus as far as I'm concerned. I want the goofs, and they won't do it. They're wrong, and they're afraid.
Fucking cowards. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, I do like, as much as it's silly, want the Nintendo back that when they would have a game go to a magazine for a review, would have someone show up at the magazine's office with a briefcase handcuffed to their fucking wrist. Like,
right, yeah, that's goofy as hell.
It's ridiculous behavior.
Briefcase, nothing's in there, you know? Or like when they'd bring out like the inflatable, like the big Mario and Luigi like costumes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And they'd interact with them like they're Disney characters, like that kind of shit. Good shit.
This is all a byproduct of talking about Tales of Arise, which is that, like,
yep.
It sounds like what I'm hearing from us as a podcast collective is that we are eager to see more youth culture in Japanese video game development.
I think it'd be cool.
It sounds like Tales like absolutely landed with this shit, and that was a series that was like long in need of like major revitalization, because like there were a lot of times that they would put out a game and be like, "Okay, here's a new Tales game. Guess what? You're going to be kind of horny for the protagonist." And it's like, "Oh, you mean like the last 8 kind of mediocre as shit Tales games?" Never mind. You know, like, I'm so glad to hear that Tales is back. Like, that's really cool.
I do think that Tales of Arise also managed to make a Zelos character that I don't hate, which is nice, you know, because they've definitely been making a lot of those. So shout out to Lord Dopamine, I guess. Shit. What is still left on my list? Oh, yeah. Okay. there's a game that actually came out last year. I'm very mad that I waited till this year to play it. But this game, 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim, is a brilliant video game. It is a visual novel mashed up with a real-time strategy tactical game. It definitely has layers to it. It's a fucking onion is what it is. But on its surface, it is a visual novel with 13 bespoke protagonists that are trying to save the world from an alien threat that can travel through time using their mechs. That's the basics of what's going on. There's so much more going on. It's not a joke when people say about this game that telling you anything is getting closer to spoiling its magic, but it is deeply funny, very aware and irreverent. Each of the characters, because they don't phone in any of these 13 characters. They all have real arcs. They all have unique things that they do in the story with gameplay. They are each very cool as shit, and the game knows when to hit its moment. It knows when to put on the theme song. It knows when to add the vocals. It knows when to show you the big reveal, to show you the secrets, to give you a little taste, or to fuck you up. And it should be required reading, honestly. Like, fucking 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim is one of the sickest video games I've played in my life.
Can I afford to wait for the Switch port coming this spring?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay. Because when I heard it was coming to Switch, I was like, oh man, do I really want to be that guy who's like, ooh, coming to Switch?
Brian, okay, so I'm upset at myself for waiting, but I waited until it was on sale on PS4, and then I bought it. And then I played it in like 48 consecutive hours or whatever.
Is it currently like PS4 only, or is it on PC as well?
It might be on PC? I straight up don't remember.
I know that like a lot of times like the release strategy for vanillaware games is so weird.
Yeah, they're definitely they're not sharing what their strategy is. They're keeping it close to the vest. Mm-hmm. But yeah, 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim fucking rocks. It's a brilliant mystery that lies to you at the best possible moments. Oh, there it is. That's the answer to your question, Brian. The game that lied to me best was fucking 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. There you go. God, this fucking game. It's so cool. And the mech shit is super cool. And the fucking, like, the action combat RTS thing is a neat little thing. It's not my favorite thing. I think there are better iterations of that idea. But I think this is solid, and it's clean enough to not pull me away from the experience. And it has a great kind of yo-yo where, like, you're doing the story, and then you get to a point where it's like, oh, well, to continue the story, you need to have access to this other person's story. Or to continue the story, you gotta do, this, wave of, like, RTS battles. And then you do all of those, and you get a bunch of story content out of that. And then you go back to whatever was going on at the school or whatever, or 2048, or whatever the fuck you are in now, man. Like, god damn it, that game was sick. Holy shit. What do I have left? Oh, I have Monster Hunter Rise. Monster Hunter Rise is a very good Monster Hunter game. It is one of the few beyond, like, World that truly embarrass all of its predecessors in terms of accessibility and playability. Like, if you play Monster Hunter Rise and then you try to go back and explore, like, Tri or, like, Generations or whatever, you will be so angry at the incredible jank that the game used to have. But I do maintain that those games with their jank are still some of the best games of their time, and Monster Hunter Rise just skips that pretense. You have engaging monster battles, you have incredible movement tools, you have the ability to express yourself with your weapon choice, your build, and your abilities. And there is a very tight, very cool, concise story that wraps it all together. And there's still more content to come. I'm looking forward very much to Sunbreak when it comes out this coming summer. But Monster Hunter Rise is a Monster Hunter game that is designed to get people ready for the future of Monster Hunter. And like the fact that it's coming to PC, like playing fucking 4K 60 frames is seriously making me consider switching to PC and not buying Sunbreak on my Switch, but I'd have to redo the game all over again. And every day that seems like a better deal. My problem is that I get to play more of this incredible video game. Who knows? Whatever. But Monster Hunter Rise is sick. It's very much still Monster Hunter, but it's a lot cleaner, a lot faster. Fuck with it if you wanna. If you don't, I understand.
Yeah, I gotta say, oh no, I wanna fuck. I'm gonna have to fuck with this game more if I switch systems. Is a non-problem.
Yeah, it's a non-problem. Yeah. Ooh. And like, personally for me, especially like coming from like World, especially, I've really enjoyed playing through Monster Hunter because I definitely have a crew of friends that I run and like shoot the shit with. Like, I think when Rise came out, I think we spent like the solid, like every night for the next like 2 months, just like cruising through the game and like fighting shit and like exploring the new tools and like figuring out how everything works. I hope, the kind of like raid encounters that we experienced in Worlds with, like Behemoth and Safi Jiva and, oh no, what is that golden bitch's name? I can't remember. But I hope those encounters come back because they're some of the most fun I've ever had with Monster Hunter, especially with groups of people. And maybe Sunbreak will include things like that, but we haven't seen it yet. Like they're playing it close to the vest. Maybe it'll be the mostly like 4-player things that we've done up until now. The last game I'm going to talk about for Resident Games, and I'll give the rest of the time to Brian. I'll yield my time. Is Unsighted. And Unsighted is a video game that I'm honestly embarrassed that more people aren't talking about. Unsighted is a top-down Metroidvania with like a gameplay loop that feels a lot more like A Link to the Past. There are bespoke dungeons that you explore, your top-down slashing, shooting stuff. And it's intuitive. Like, if it's very simple to just look at and start playing. I think it has one of the more forgiving parry mechanics that I've seen in a long time. I really like how the game is playing around with the idea that you need to consider your moves as you make them. The game is built in with a mechanic. It's baked in with a mechanic where every character that you meet in the game has an expiration date. And if you do nothing to help them, they will all simply perish and become monsters that you have to fight down the line. But they all have stories. They all have things that they care about. And you can work to make sure that they live. Or if you're struggling to figure out exactly what you need, you have the ability to give them a bit more time at your own personal expense. And I think that's a really cool idea. And like, I look forward to not just finishing this game, but my 3rd, my 4th, my 8th, my 30th playthrough of this video game, so I can find out how to do as much as I can within the time limits. Like, I feel like that's a real thing I want to wrestle with, which is weird because usually it's just like it's an opportunity to get stressed out, to like be paralyzed into doing nothing. But the game gives you so many tools and there's so many opportunities to just burst through like the edges of the game of its experience to like afford yourself so much more time, which is just super cool that I want to solve those mysteries. I want to hold that knowledge. So I love Unsighted. I think that game is really cool. And that's all my stuff. These are the games I'm going to resonate with this year.
I want to talk about 3 games at one time.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see here. I don't believe that I talked about Underdeck Depths of Fear last time because I think I was holding it to talk about it at the same time as The Magnificent Truffle Pigs and 12 Minutes. I hate all of these games for the same reason.
Okay.
The resolution for all three of these games is surprise, it was mental illness.
Yeah, I'm getting sick of those, actually. Yeah, man, get the fuck out of here. Are you kidding me? Oh, my God.
The real monster were the people who decided that mental illness was the plot point.
Yeah, right? Jesus.
Yeah, like, the way that all of these games resolve is surprise! You're unwell! Just like...
You're unwell.
Yeah.
And, like, there's definitely ways to do that where it's not, like, bad, if that makes sense.
I would now like to...
Like, I feel like...
Yes. Keep going, Tegan. You're onto something.
I was gonna say, I feel like Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice does a good job of, like, maybe this is in your head and maybe it's not. In a way that makes you maybe feel like you're doubting yourself in that same way, without actually being like, you are a bad person for having this thing happen to you.
Yeah.
You know? And none of those games do that.
Right. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice does a good job of, like, cultivating the player's empathy and making the player understand Senua's experience. Like, the stuff that the game does with audio design is neat from a mechanical perspective, but it's also, like, extraordinarily, like, careful and respectful.
Yes. Like, the sensitivity reviewers were on top of it.
Right.
You know?
And what Hellblade does is try and make the player paranoid in the same way as the protagonist. You know, when, I think, was it during the Game Awards where it was when we were talking about games lying to us? Yeah, we all streamed it collectively as a group. We watched the Game Awards. We hated it.
We did. It was terrible.
Yes.
It was real bad. Like, last year it was, like, dull but not bad. This year it was bad and dull.
Yeah. But like, one of the things that got shown during this very long series of advertisements masquerading as an award show was an ad for the next Hellblade game. And I asked Rocky, when was your favorite time that a game lied to you? And I keep on coming back to, like, how effective it was that, like, Hellblade told you certain things up front that, like, Senua is unwell, but then also, like, misconstrued some other information. It's like, okay, this game has permadeath, and if the blackness gets all the way up to your neck, you're dead and your save file's unrecoverable, which meant that, like, players approach the game with paranoia and worry and fret. And it turned out that no such mechanic exists in the game. Like, the blackness will never reach your neck, your file will never delete. But, like, that, doing that in the game was designed to create more empathy and have the player more closely share Senua's experience as a human. And these three games, which all suck, lie about everything up front, and they use mental illness as, like, the surprise twist at the end. They're like, surprise, you're mentally ill. Like, it's like, that's their big reveal. It's kind of like if someone did a magic trick and they, like, went, ta-da, and they, like, pulled a turd out of a hat. Like, they're just like, you've come this far, it was mental illness all along. And, like, it just... And I'm tired of people using mental illness as this, like, fucking goofy Scooby-Doo shit. Like, it feels, like, so disrespectful. It feels like people are treating it like it's trivial and it's unimportant. In, like, Under Depths of Fear, like, you're, like, running around trying to get off this boat that's sinking, and then you find out, you have been committed to a mental hospital the entire time.
Yeah! Are you dead ass the one where you're, like, escaping from the Titanic or whatever?
Yep.
And they're just
What?
like, oh, by the way, you're in an asylum, bro. It's chill. What?
Yep.
Oh, I
That's
hate them.
awful.
I want to fucking fight. Like, square the fuck up, you fucking clowns.
Right.
Oh, my God.
Right. And that's why I wanted to talk about all three of these together, because it's the same fucking shit. like the Magnificent Truffle Pigs, there's this woman who's got a lot of stuff going on in her life, and so she like agrees to meet up with like a childhood friend at this farm where they used to like go playing with metal detectors together, and comes to find out that like the person that she's called to come hang out with her at this farm is her childhood imaginary friend.
Oh shit.
And I think the thing that like frustrates me about that is that like basically what they're saying there is that like is that there's no difference between having an imaginary kid as a child and DID, you know, because
Wow.
and that infuriated me, absolutely infuriated me. She's like, oh yeah, so like I knew Tony when I was young, we would play together, and like and her, because the game is also like irritatingly British, and
Bro, can we talk? Okay, I don't know what's going on in the UK, but they have a fucking stranglehold on like voice acting in video games, and I just want to know what the fuck is up.
I don't know.
Like what's going on with that,
Yeah.
man? Like, maybe it's also because I've been playing Final Fantasy like 14 forever, but like, you know what? No, it's not even just that. Like, it's just like, oh, they're British? Like, and it's just like,
Yeah,
how are they always British?
I do not know.
The person who's going to be playing Princess Peach in the movie is British.
Oh yeah.
And that's 100% a direct result. I know this in my heart of hearts, even if they'll never admit it.
Mm-hmm.
Because Breath of the Wild Zelda is British.
Yeah.
And like, fans loved her, right? Like, her dad's not fucking British, though.
Nah,
Just
dude.
Zelda's British, and it's because she's a princess. Like,
Oh my god.
You're gonna find out those twins are royalty. Wanda John.
And so like here we are in this fucking Truffle Pigs game, right? Right. And they're like, yeah, you know, having a childhood imaginary friend is totally the same thing as DID. And I'm just like, no, it is not. Like, this is like a shockingly irresponsible take. And like, and it really frustrates me because like it disrespects both the people who are legitimately suffering from mental illness and need understanding and empathy, and also it like makes what is normal healthy childhood play seem inappropriate. There are lots and lots of kids who, as part of like early childhood development of social skills, you know, tell their parents about their imaginary friend and tell their parents about the conversations and the play that they do with their imaginary friend, because basically what they're trying to do is like socially find out things about like acceptable relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, hey mom, I was playing with my friend today and we ate a whole pizza, and it's like, okay, that's good. And then I hit him.
That's a lot of pizza. Are you guys still going to be hungry for dinner?
Right, like, and it's like, like this is it's a tool for understanding social behavior. It's a tool for understanding limits, and here comes fucking the Magnificent Truffle Pigs, right? It was like, ta-da, that's DID. Like, fuck off, just fuck off forever. And then here comes 12 minutes, right? A game that makes you abuse your romantic partner in game. In order to beat the game, you have to abuse you have to scream at your partner, you have to give them trauma, you also have to drug them. You also have to you have to roofie your partner in order to win the game. And the game's surprise is, surprise, you've been fucking your sister and you've been living in a weird fantasy that allows you to continue to fuck your sister and not think about the fact that it's your sister. That's what's going on.
Weird.
Gross.
Yeah.
Wonder what that says about the dudes who wrote it, though.
Oh man, I don't want to square up with those dudes because I don't want to touch them.
Might I recommend therapy?
Please.
Like,
Talk to a professional about your problems. Like, we understand you want to fuck your sister. That's okay. Not everybody wants to, though. And those feelings should be explored in a safe environment, away from your fucking sister.
Away from your sister, please.
and something I said about the game at the time that I played it on an episode that Tegan was not on, so it was more safe to be a spoiler space. Because at that time, she was still considering playing the game.
Yep.
Was I said, this is the most David Cage-ass video game that David Cage never made.
Yeah.
And I stand by it. Like, everything about 12 minutes, and everything about the way 12 minutes represents the way humans interact with each other feels like a David Cage game. And then when it gets at the end, and it's like, surprise, you've been living in a weird fantasy. Like, this whole space doesn't even exist. The phone you're holding isn't real. You're talking to yourself. This man who comes to the door to kill you isn't even there. He's just an imagined representation of your father because you know that your father is angry at you for fucking your sister.
Yeah. Jesus Christ, that's so insane.
And I'm like, well, it seems like Dad's got a reason to be mad. Like, I don't even know what.
Yeah, like, frankly.
Bro, what
In
the
all
fuck?
honesty, Dad should be mad, and they should probably have a restraining order against me, like, frankly.
Yeah. And just like, I look at these games where every one of them arrived at their big ending, and the big ending is, surprise, you're not well. Like,
Yeah.
and that they think that's enough. They think that's good. They think they're like, ta-da! It's like when a kid holds up like a shitty snowflake they made, and you're like, man, it's not a very good snowflake, kid.
I've never dealt with a snowflake that was akin to like incest. Maybe that happens, but I don't think we need to drag down snowflake drawings like this.
Oh no,
That's all
I
I'm
mean, like,
saying.
you know, like the ones you clip out with scissors, and you don't know what they look like until you unfold them at the end.
Right.
Well, imagine if like a kid did that, but the middle was like a big wiener. You know?
I mean, that would be insane.
Yeah.
Like,
And you're just like, it's beautiful,
Oh, no.
but we can't hang this one up.
This one's not going to go in the window. It's not. It's not.
burn it like at midnight or something.
Yeah,
Shit.
I'll tell you what.
Let's put it, I know where we'll put it. We'll put it in a special place in the house where you can see it all the time.
Oh my god.
And then, oh no, the dog destroyed it. Let's make a different
I'll tell you what. Like, I promise, I'll take it to the office. But because
Yeah!
it's at the.
I love this one so much. And then you throw it out, like, when you're taking the trash out, so there isn't even, like, the risk of them seeing it in the trash can.
Right.
Oh my god. Yeah, you got to take it to a different trash
Yeah.
can. It goes to that Burger King that's like down the road.
Yeah.
You're like, the wiener snowflake must get tossed out at the fucking burger. Like, oh my god. But yes, these games are all the wiener snowflake. Like, ugh. So please stop this game development. Please stop.
Please? We're asking nicely.
We're asking nicely, and next time, we won't be.
I won't be asking nicely next time, I promise.
I'm scrolling through.
Y'all should know better by now, frankly.
Oh my god. Okay, well, while Brian's looking for something, there's something that's happening with video games I kind of want to talk about. So it looks like.
Are you trying to talk about news right now?
No, it's not news. I'm not gonna
Okay.
point to specific news things. But there are things that are happening in the video game industry. There's some moves that companies are making, and things that are being rewarded that seem to point to the idea that the trajectory for video games is to become more like feature films. And some of those things are good. Like, for example, it looks like Epic is trying to create an asset store that works like Unity, but will create game that will lend itself to making games that are less like asset flips. But also there are things like, for example, the best narrative category at fucking the Game Awards, where Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy gets rewarded for creating a movie scene that you can press buttons on afterward. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. Like, it's definitely a thing that I'm, like, worried about, that I'm going to keep an eye on, because I don't think video games need movies, specifically, even if they manage to be cinematic. And I don't think video games learning to be more like feature film or the film industry is something that's beneficial to the craft.
I mean, also, like, movies exist to tell different kinds of stories.
Mhm.
different depths of story than video games do.
There was a video game that previously existed on my Resident Game list that I removed when I realized it was wildly overbig, but it's worth mentioning in this specific context, which is Dark Knights with Poe and Monroe, which is like a fun, cheeky throwback FMV video game. Like during the 90s, there was a genre of video game that was kind of pervasive on like your Sega CD and your PC and such, which was the FMV video game. But what is wild is that, like, if you pick up any one of these, like, FMV video games, they still very much feel like, in every way, like a video game. The video gameness is like, a thing that is, like, forward first in, like, the design thinking. Like, it's right. Like, this is a video game first. The fact that it is cobbled together using full motion video just describes the assets that are used to make this video game. It is not chasing being a movie. And it's so weird now that there are games that are currently being made with full motion video that feel more like video games than some video games where you're like walking a dude around doing dude shit. And like, you're like, yeah. Like there are moments like during the Uncharted games where I'm like, okay, I might as well just like fucking put my controller down and just like walk away. Like where,
yeah.
And like a publisher that feels especially guilty of this is Sony, where they'll put together these moments where like the thing that is supposed to like hit you in the feels isn't the thing that you're doing. Like the thing which is supposed to like, tear you apart isn't like a thing that happens in game while you're playing. It's a thing that happens during some cutscene, and that they think the cutscene is the game from a position of like design philosophy. And like the biggest one I can think of this offhand is during Dad of War. There's a moment where like the Dad of War considers reaching out and touching Son of War's shoulder. It's like, I might touch Son of War's shoulder because I love him, but I can't because I'm Dad of War. And it's all just done in the cutscene. And I'm like, why aren't we like, people try to clown on press F to pay respects for a whole bunch of like superficial reasons. But I feel like press F to pay respects was more of a portent of a future where we were just watching these endless cinematics, and then there would be like some like moment of like superficial interactivity that's like added, and now they're like, see, it's a video game. Like the number of times in Uncharted where I'm like falling down some fucking cliffside, where I'm like, whoa, 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 I'm falling, whoa, 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 whoa. And like you're falling for fucking 5 or 6 minutes. It just goes on forever. But at some point during the fall, please press left, And it's just like, okay, well, now that you've pressed left once, it's a video game again. See, we promised. And
I feel like press F to pay respects is more about like it's a poor juxtaposition. Press F to pay respects is goofy because like F in chat. Like that's what that is. That's what that's turned into, a memeable moment, because it's just saying you can pay respects with the push of a button seems disingenuous.
Correct.
And I think that's the problem with that more than like, oh, now that makes it a video game,
Yeah, and I feel like what it is that it's phoning in interactivity. Like, as much as we clown on for it not really being a video game, there is one moment that sticks with me from What Remains of Edith Finch, and it's when you're playing that one segment where you're that one guy who worked at the fish factory or whatever, and like your next thing to do, because there is nothing else for you to do, is to like walk into like the fucking slicer because the dude's planning to kill himself, and like that's terrible, and it's something that's supposed to like hit you in the feels, but the thing is that it only happens if you do it, and it won't happen before. And like I think that's more in line with like the type of like interactive storytelling that like video games are capable of, or even like with unpacking, where you have like these emergent like stories with you interacting with these objects, and like the game isn't really giving you like voiceover or dialogue or subtitles over it. It's just, you know what this thing is and you know what it means in this context, and it matters because you're the one that's touching it. And like those are the things that I think that should be developed more precisely in terms of video game narrative. And like reducing video game narrative to cutscenes seems like, well, counterintuitive.
It's the wrong direction.
Right.
Man, this makes me think things about so many different games, and even games that I guess are still left on this list to talk about. But like, Unpacking and The Good Life are both video games that try to make you feel things by doing things.
Right.
Right. And like they don't limit the emotional narrative experience to cutscenes. Like with The Good Life, yes, there are like some limited cutscenes and there are some goofy cutscenes, but most of what that game is trying to do as far as like making you feel things, it's trying to accomplish by the act of you playing the video game. It's trying to make you feel things by being on the game's treadmill. I know that like Rocky and I have taken like different tacks in talking about this video game, but I think that the most interesting thing that The Good Life does is fuck with and interrogate and examine the idea of the air quote satisfying gameplay loop. Like that is what that game is like deconstructing and unpacking and saying like, is there such a thing as a satisfying gameplay loop? And then like making it like literally about, depressing, oppressive, crushing debt, and being like, okay, like you're paying off this like soul crushing debt. That's why you're here. You're like, oh my God, my satisfying gameplay loop is just like real life. Like it just, here comes this game, just like absolutely like examining what the notion of a gameplay loop is, and like it definitely resonated with me. I definitely felt things about it. Or like in Unpacking, like there's so many moments that feel like personal victories and defeats, based on like the way the game teaches you to feel about like different objects and like the way you have to interact with them. Like I had mentioned before, like there is not many things in video games this year that feel worse than when she moves in with her shitty interchangeable boyfriend and he is made.
And he's a shitty interchangeable boyfriend because he didn't make any room for her with his.
Right. Yeah. Yes. And so that feeling of having to like make your own spaces and navigate around somebody's already full life.
Yeah, to squeeze into someone else's life. Like, holy shit.
And that's all accomplished mechanically. It's done through mechanics. Like they didn't be like, okay, now here's a 5-minute long fucking cutscene about like her shitty boyfriend. Like they
which they could have done, and like it would have been fine. But like it definitely whatever. It's fine.
Another really good example of this is like from a couple of years ago, Florence. Like as you're getting to. When you're like, the pieces don't go together anymore.
Yeah, you're just suddenly, I can't form sentences out of the words that I have anymore.
Yeah, like and like you're accomplishing it mechanically, and like when you start talking about that moment in What Remains of Edith Finch, Rocky, the one that I thought about is the absolute fucking agony you feel as the baby in the tub.
Yeah, I still tell people about the baby in the tub, honestly.
Yeah, and I'm just like, fuck, and the thing is like. When games ask you to do things in order to feel things, it's so much more powerful. And like I know that we've talked about it in so many different contexts, but I feel like this is actually yet another reason to bring up Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Because like which is more powerful? Like walking up to that first cliff and looking out over the total scope of the world, or with your fucking goofy ass little like paraglider, like hopping off the Great Plateau and realizing that what you thought was a spacious world was only a tiny slice of an even larger world. Like like the game makes you feel lonely by walking through like giant stretches of land where you won't see anybody else for like minutes at a time, while this like very spare piano score will just kind of like intermittently drop in and drop out. It's like, oh, okay, you're here.
They also do a really good job in that game of explaining Link's disconnect with the memories he's finding.
Yep.
Even without saying a fucking word. Yep. Link says no words! And you, like, innately understand that he is disconnected from these memories of these people who apparently he knew, and who apparently have very good relationships with him now, or then, that he cannot relate to at all. Right. And you don't get any of that relation until you actually do, like, the DLC. That's where that comes in. But, like, I think leaving it until after you finish, like, the rest of the game is important, you know? And I think it's the right choice in that way.
But, like, I think that the biggest story that game wants to tell is a story which, like, a Zelda game had not told in a good long while, which is that, like, Link is an agonized, alone person who believes himself to be a failure.
Yes! Yes! No one talks about failure Link enough.
Right.
He did fail.
Yeah, he
fucked up.
Right.
He fucked up big time.
And so, like...
And he didn't just fucked up. Zelda also fucked up. She failed in her one duty. And, like, they do a very good job of telegraphing Zelda's failure and then subsequent, like, heroism at the very end after Link also fucks up. But, like, oh, it's so good.
But Breath
of the Wild is just the best game.
But
frankly.
There's so much about, like, the way that it tells you that, though, and it tells you that by, like, making you, like, do stuff like climb fucking mountains and having to pause every few minutes to eat more fucking stamina food. And then you're just sitting there, and there's a moment where you'll be sitting in, like, a pause menu, feeling kind of glum, being like, why am I even fucking doing this? And it's not like you, the person, the player, is glum. It's that the game has, through its landscapes and through its movement requirements and through everything, made you feel like the toil and the futility of the character. There are so many people who, like, whine and complain and bitch about weapon durability in this game, you know, in that game. And, like, the weapon durability exists within Breath of the Wild to help communicate Link's endless, ceaseless sense of fucking futility. Swords and shields break in that video game because it feels bad and Link feels bad. Like, it is why...
It's also the reason, like, you can't use the Master Sword on everything, because, like, that's not your solution.
Right.
As much as you want it to be, and as much as it seems like it is in other Zelda games, that is not your solution. It doesn't matter that it's an all-powerful, never-breaking weapon. It will not fix your problems.
Right.
God, such a good game.
And what are we talking about here? Like, how much it's accomplishing, telling you mechanically. Like, it's...
With no words! None words, no cutscenes,
It's telling you its story by how you play the game, what it asks of you. And, like, that... And, like, I feel like that...
What you see with your fucking elf eyes.
And I think that this, if we were going to have like a diversion, Rocky, if we were going to be like, hey, like, I've been noticing this trend, let's talk about this in the context of 2021. I feel like this was a hell of a good idea, Rocky. This is a very good diversion.
No problem.
Yeah, there's meat on the bone, because it really does make me come back to, like, say.
I just like talking about Breath of the Wild. You know what? Can I put Breath of the Wild on my rest in game list?
Yes, that is the whole point of this fucking list.
Game.
That is why.
God damn. Have you felt alone and trapped in 2021 after our second year of pandemic going into our third? Might I recommend replaying fucking Breath of the Wild? Jesus Christ.
But when I think back to, like, that week in like end of February, beginning of March, that Monday to Friday where, like, Horizon came out and Breath of the Wild came out, it is abundantly apparent to me why Breath of the Wild made me put down Horizon immediately. And I was just like, okay, this game is now going to, like, suck hundreds of hours out of my time. And it was because, like, doing things in doing things in Breath of the Wild made me feel things. Horizon would like have me engage in cool combat that felt plenty cool, and it would make me like go places that looked pretty cool. But when
Horizon made me feel like I was accomplishing something, and Breath of the Wild made me feel like I was struggling against everything.
Right.
And I think that's a very distinct difference.
And
I think that was a big deal for me too. Like, I think that's why when I wanted to finish the final confrontation, I didn't want to feel like I was struggling anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the whole front door thing. Because I remember, it's man, they've been throwing bullshit at me from the beginning. So whenever I am done with this, I'm gonna roast everything. And that was a personal journey for me when I was playing that game.
Mm-hmm. Whereas I still, I chose to sneak into the base, through the bottom, arm myself with every fucking night weapon I could grab, and then be like, surprise, bitch, you thought you killed me!
Right. But when Horizon wants you to feel things, it shows you a cutscene.
Right.
It does.
Right.
Yep.
It does.
But when
and the thing it wants you to feel isn't, sadness for the loss of humanity. It's anger at the people who still managed to survive the end of the world. Yeah. Fuck all those guys. It's the same emotion as, all of the billionaires are in a static spaceship. They all got in a fancy underground bunker while they did a whole thing where they were we're gonna arm every fucking civilian and tell them that we just need a little more time, and if you can hold out, everyone will survive.
Right.
When we fucking know no one will survive. Fuck off with that. Oh, it made me so mad. I'm still mad about it. I can't wait to get mad about it on stream. Jesus Christ.
Let's go.
And when Tegan was talking about the way the game made her feel, she said that Horizon made her feel accomplishment. And and I think that's because of the increasingly checklisty nature of open world video games in most of video game development spaces.
Yeah, but also I got better.
True.
My skill level definitely improved playing that game. I would not have been able to play that game if I didn't actively enjoy the combat.
Okay.
Because I was very bad at it at the beginning, because I'm not good at shooty type games, and there was definitely a lot of shooting at the beginning of the game that I was not getting. Even though it was a bow. You know? It was dumb. Anyway, I struggled for a bit. But I was like, no, it'll be worth it. This world is so cool. And then I was like, oh, this world is Earth? Fuck this place. I'm mad at it now, and I put it down for 6 months.
Yeah, so I guess that's a good way to wrap up talking about the games that resonated this year, because the last ones that are on my list, and the very last one is one that we already talked about, are all games that resonated because of what they asked of me mechanically. I've played Super Mario World from memory, but what makes it resonate is the feeling of unease as I do things. When I played Unpacking, the thing that made me resonate was as I opened boxes and I took things out, the feelings of personal victory or defeat that would come from seeing each object. You definitely feel very good at the end of Unpacking. And you're I am free of this relationship. Fuck him. My life is moving on. I'm in a good space. Unpacking feels good at the end. The questions posed by The Good Life are complex, and I will probably be grappling with them for a while. The game asks a lot of its player in considering how the player engages with video games. And I honestly didn't expect The Good Life to be asking those kind of large questions when the original Kickstarter pitch happened. And shame on me, I should have known better.
Don't ask me anything.
Yeah.
Don't ask me or my son anything ever again.
Something I said over the course of the year, and I think is worth saying now as we wrap up our conversation about the games that resonated with us this year, is 2021 was a fabulous year for video games, a very good year for video games. I don't necessarily think that the stars were games that came out of AAA development.
Fuck AAA. Deadass. I'm so sick of them.
AAA games were mostly okay,
right,
and what we expected, and I think we were disappointed by that.
Right.
Does that make sense?
No, yeah, that's fair, because I feel like AAA is the one that should be taking chances. Because they can afford it, right? Like,
yeah, they have the funding to do it, but, like, indie devs are the ones that are doing the labor to see what works, and then they're getting bought out by AAA studios and shut down.
Yeah, and, like, I feel like indie groups, or, like, indie development, as far as that can be called indie at this point, has risen in levels of execution on, like, stranger ideas. And so we've gotten a lot of really good ideas that surface in very, like, enjoyable contexts. Because it's not like it's not like this is the first year people have tried anything new. But there's definitely been years where people have been trying things, but it's just not quite right. And, like, for people who are, like, new to the industry or just new to the world of video games, those games aren't exactly worth their time. Like, they would rather play something simple and safe and whatnot. And, like, that's what AAA has decided to occupy. But I think now there's so much interesting stuff that's going on in the indie space that is accessible to new people who want to get into video games that it would be egregious to skip over them out of hand.
You can't ignore indie anymore.
Right.
You can't.
Like, you're just gonna miss everything that's great. Like...
And that almost means the thing that I think we said at the beginning, or, like, right after E3, there are too many video games. And that's, I think, something else that's, like, exemplified here, where, like, hi, this is week 2 of Resident Games because there were too many video games.
We're gonna retool this next year. This will be a more palatable show somehow.
Yeah, okay, we said that last year, and I was like, hey, aren't we gonna, like, get together and do a thing? And then we were all like, yeah, and never did. So, see us next year doing 2 weeks of Resident Games again because we can't decide how many superlatives to get out.
Tegan, I swear on Final Fantasy XIV, on Her Majesty, that we will retool this.
Okay.
We're going to retool this in the spring. I'm not waiting till summer this year.
Okay. All right, I look forward to it.
I feel like the bones are good. I mean, at this point,
the bones are good.
Yeah,
we just retool.
The bones are great.
Yeah.
The bones are great. Don't get me wrong. It's just... we gotta be more specific. Maybe not as specific as we were the first couple years we did this, but, like, we gotta be a little bit more specific.
I think that, like, maybe bringing games to the table because there's a specific thing we want to say about them, or a thing that we think that they say about video games is probably better. Because, like, they're...
Oh, I'm never gonna bring a game to the table again, then.
Please.
No,
we're gonna find a statement. It's fine. We'll find parameters that make sense.
Right.
Okay.
Because, like, I definitely do feel like there are games that I talked about where I'm like, yeah, this game was pretty good, you know, and, like, what I had to say about it was, yeah, this game was pretty good, you know, and it's like, yeah, I liked it, but, like, in the long run, did I really need to talk about Blaseball again in this context? Did I need...
Blaseball's doing weird shit again. I don't know how I feel about it. We'll find out. Tune in 2 weeks when the fucking... Blizzards pass or whatever the hell. Why is the I got questions, Blaseball. Why is the peanut back? Why do I have to remake one in the shelled one's image? Why is my best batter a dog? I don't fucking know. Why do I just have infinite peanuts? Why did my team just turned into a peanut?
Your whole team, Tegan?
My whole team is a peanut. They're the Ohio Peanuts now. What happened?
Damn, the worms are now the Ohio Peanuts.
Why are we peanuts?
Oh my god, that's really funny.
I was just on this website this morning. I'm gonna share with you our peanuts. Why?
Okay.
I'm so concerned.
Okay, I'm gonna try something.
Okay. Rocky, before you try something, there's something I like. In my anger about Underdeck Depths of Fear, Magnificent Truffle Pigs, and 12 Minutes, because I wanted to do those as a bundle, and then I slid into the end of the list. I see that there is a gate. The reason I went, a few minutes ago was that I saw that, like, I had somehow got to the end of this list and not talked about Cruise and Blast. And
oh fuck! What the fuck, Brian?
Yes, that's why I had to go. Oh, Rocky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Is that, like, Cruise and Blast is a game that prioritizes fun in a very real way.
True.
Yes.
That's the thing that they care about. They care about fun.
Right. And like that is so cool. Like I know that sounds silly because we're here to talk about video games and like video games.
Like you got to be careful because like video games are more than fun at this
Right.
point. They do a lot of things.
Yes.
They have a lot on their plates, but like this one decides fun is the most important thing to us, and that's a good thing.
Right.
We should talk about it.
Right. Like I am not here to tell you that drowning the baby is fun and what remains of Edith Finch.
Yeah, that'd be insane. Please don't. If someone tells you that drowning the baby and what remains of Edith Finch is fun, run.
Right.
Like full sprint. Don't think about it. Get out of the room.
Yes. But what Cruise and Blast says is like, hey, look, what if you drove off a cliff, landed on the back of a fucking actual pterodactyl, it like made a big dinosaur squawking noise as you landed, and then you drove off the other wing of the pterodactyl, and as you flew through the air, you saw like a group of like F-14 Tomcats doing like maneuvers together in the sky, and you flew through a rainbow and landed on a road and realize that the road is crumbling behind you as you drive.
Brad, see, all you're telling me right now is that like I should get really blasted and play Cruise and Blast.
Look, I'm not saying that like maybe opening the bottle of Fireball and playing Cruise and Blast is a good time, but it is open the bottle of Fireball and play Cruise and Blast is a really good time.
Brad, we could get into some Fireball, play some Cruise and Blast. We're gonna figure this out.
It is a very sometimes dumb is used as a compliment to things.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Cruise and Blast is a fucking dumb video game. Like
it's a fun video game you don't have to think about.
Yeah.
Like, just let it happen, bro.
Yeah. It just like all of the cars are goofy. It has that like same measure of like levity and irreverence in a driving game that like the early Midnight Club games had, that Super Mario 64 had, like where you're just like, so often now when you play a video game that is like even fun, there's a point where like you get lost in the fun because of all the shit that like the game wants you to keep track of. You know, like a good example of that is, you know, Forza Horizon 5, which is an incredibly like beautiful and fully developed world and feels a lot like an entirely realized full space to exist in. You're like, wow, what a cool place. But also, like, the game wants a fair bit from you. All Cruise and Blast wants you to do is have a good fucking time. It just, like, it's kind of like when a friend invites you over for a party and you're like, hey, is there anything I should bring? And it just, like, they grin and they're like, nah, man, just come on over. And, like, when you show up, it is a fucking party and it is absolutely cool. Like, Cruise and Blast...
Let's invite you over for parties?
Not anymore. But like Cruise and Blast is that like here's an image that might resonate for Rocky. Cruise and Blast is, oh my god, it's 3 a.m, but I think we've unlocked all of the characters in this Melee game.
Bet.
Yeah.
Oh man. You know, I was day one unlocking characters and shit. It was a pain in the ass, but it was like, hey, we got it. Yeah, let's go.
Like Cruise and Blast
we
is
had a tournament in the morning, Brian. We couldn't skip it.
Cruise and Blast is odd job slappers only. You know, like
Bet.
Yeah. And like I'm going for like very specific, very evocative images here, and it sounds like it's landing with Rock Hughes and like
I'm spacing. What's the name of that new game, Brian? I know you'll like it. It's open world Fortnite, but no, it's Fortnite. But everyone's brawlers with a high emphasis on grappling.
Oh, that one that they showed at Naughty 3, the Game Awards?
Yeah. But, like, that game actually slaps. And I think Brian would actually really like it. Like, you know, I know it wasn't the time, and I'm not going to give them any clout. Like, fuck you, Jeff Keighley, I swear to God. But, like, that game fucking slaps. Rumblevania? Rumble something? Rumble Stiltskin? Who knows, dog? Yeah, dude, it's in it's available. Yeah. You can just play it. Yeah.
Those are the games we resonated with this year.
It's true. Next week we'll have a much shorter show. But in the
next
meantime,
week is our personal top fives. Look forward to what kind of existential crisis I present to Brian in 7 business days.
In 7 business days, huh? Maybe we'll do it on Saturday. Who knows? But everyone, this has been our show. Thanks for hanging out. This is Impossible Coin. We're here every week. You can find it where podcasts are found: iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Guys, can you hit SoundCloud for me real quick?
Fuck SoundCloud.
And gotta pump the brakes a little bit, because there is one good thing about SoundCloud. It's our friend, kid brother of the show, Big Sach. You can find him on SoundCloud at SoundCloud/Big Sach NJ. He's the guy that did our music. And you can find him on Twitter at Hillary_Swank. We also have a logo, and that logo is also on a t-shirt, and it was designed by Lauren Moran. You can find her on Twitter at Lauren Moran, and consider donating to her Patreon, because she does good shit. And she's, I know she's selling art, and like, you know, her art is always slaps. That's why we got her to do the logo, for being honest with you. But, speaking of Patreon, we have one of those too at patreon.com/Impossible Coin Podcast. There you'll find our artisanal show notes, our bespoke watch alongs, and audio essays about things that we care about. We are also on social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Brian's on Twitter, Tegan's on Tumblr. It's all Impossible Coin. And speaking of Impossible Coin, we are also on Twitch at twitch.tv/Impossible Coin. And maybe one day we'll take the stuff that we put on Twitch and then move it over to YouTube. But today is not that day. Keep hoping. We will let you guys know. But that's us. That's the show.
And I'm very excited, because I am looking forward to, in 2 weeks, the retread of the single biggest argument that was used last year during Game of the Year, which is that didn't even make your personal top 5.
Oh my God, Brian's been setting this up for like 2 weeks. I'm so worried. All right, whatever. It's fine. We'll get there.
I mean, your personal top 5 and the group top 10 are different.
They are different.
So I think it's fine. Like, if it doesn't make your personal top 5, I still expect it to be in the top 10. So, conditionally, of course.
Conditionally. Everything has a cost. No free lunches.
Indeed. Well, thanks for hanging.
Blood Money episode is coming.
Oh God. Well, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Peace.
Bye.